As always, taking your calls about the issues that matter to you at 580-5436. 580-KIDO. And what do we have on the agenda? Well, it was an incredible weekend. A lot of people were working. Thank you for all the people that worked. And, it's funny. We consider ourselves a law and order state. We consider ourselves a state that, is always about law enforcement, except when it comes to fireworks. Because we love our fireworks and we want to show everybody. I don't know if there's a lot of injuries. Thankfully, I hope your house didn't burn down. I don't think my house burned down, but a lot of people, again, I'm always very leery when we have this big fireworks display that goes on and on and on. By the way, let me see. I did a story on Friday, and the reason why I did this story, it was just amazing. I don't know if anybody saw it, but it was just all about the chairs taking over a small Idaho town, which was where I live, Star, Idaho. And the thing about it was, I'm thinking, man, you could make a lot of money on Facebook Marketplace. You could make a lot of money wherever just by grabbing a bunch of chairs. Now, we're not saying that people should steal. We're not saying that people should do any of these crazy things. But as I said before, at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, it was fascinating to me to see the amount of chairs. So we did a story on this, and it was well received. That this how should we put this? This small Idaho town was just taken over, and then we had the state celebrating. And I'm thinking to myself, and maybe this is me being the contrarian that I am. Maybe this is me just being a spoil sport, but I mean, we spent a lot of money celebrating American 250. And, I know the Idaho Freedom Foundation used to look at things that way. I know the Idaho Freedom Foundation used to look at the cost. And I suppose you're going to get, well, Kevin Miller, it's no big deal. It's 250 years. I don't know about you, but I thought 200 years felt bigger. I did. I thought 200 years felt extremely, extremely bigger. And what was it on the 4th of July night, 2:30 in the morning is when they finally decided to stop. 2:30 in the morning. But really? Is that Idaho nice? Is that be nice Idaho? Be kind Idaho? I don't know. Over the weekend, the president, actually, we're going to have a live report from Washington, D.C. Our own Dennis Mansfield is there. We love Dennis. Dennis is going to give us his report, his thoughts on what's going on. He was there for America 250. He's going to be there for a little while. Actually, the local Fox affiliate gave him an interview, so we'll hear what Dennis has to say. Also, we'll talk a little bit about state politics as well. Sadly, we do have a fire going on. A fast-moving wildfire in Ada County has led to the evacuation orders for residents along Pohnpeian Road due to gusty winds pushing the flames. The Ada County Sheriff's Office is working to contain the fire, which is currently at 400 acres, being pushed southeast by 20-mile-per-hour winds. Residents are advised to evacuate towards Cloverdale and head north as the fire burns through light fuels and sage on the hill. Updates on the situation will be provided as more information becomes available. Sad that, again, we are in the hot and heavy fire season. Over the weekend, as we said, we had CNN and everybody else, the only people that were working. Fox News, everybody working. It was great to see everybody at Mount Rushmore. Was I at Mount Rushmore? No. I like you. I was watching it on TV or the clips on YouTube or X. But Doug Burgum, who we had on this program, had a chance to go toe-to-toe with Dana Bash. Let's take a listen.
Around our country, unifying around the flag.
I want to move on. But do you, as Interior Secretary, will you recommend to the president that he condemn this group and what they were trying to message, what they did try to message here in Washington?
Well, there have been, Dana, part of my response to that is that there are protests on the mall that people say things that I think are irreprehensible about President Trump, and yet they're allowed to go on because of free speech in our country. And so this is something, but you've seen President Trump. I was with him in North Dakota. I was with him at Mount Rushmore.
This
I was with him
white
last
nationalism. Night. It's, as you said, a part of America's history that still has pockets, but the fact that they were here in Washington on such an important day, I do want to move on.
But I do think, again, I mean, there are people that are saying death to Israel and death to America. I mean, this is part of free speech in America. They can say it, we can object to it, but it is something that comes with free speech in America.
I want to ask you about the reflecting pool because we spoke about a month ago, and
so, by the way, at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, this is crazy where we have the media can't celebrate the president's great win. The media can't celebrate the reflecting pool. And you have a bunch of goofs, the Patriot Front, is it? Now, why are they goofs? Because these people were the ones that went to Coeur d'Alene, and remember, they wear the masks. They have their khakis. I don't really know if khakis are intimidating. Now, a pair of Wranglers could be. Khakis, not so much. Bo, are you intimidated by khakis at all? No, not at all. Okay, I'm with you on that. I don't find khakis that intimidating. So they get on the subway and they march, and it's the lunatic fringe. And Doug Burgum, it was. Doug is a good dude, Secretary Burgum. Like I said, he's been on this program. And it takes a lot for that guy to get mad. And you'll hear him get, now, I don't want to say mad, but you'll see him where he talks a little bit more and more and more about free speech. And we have people that have sprayed death to Israel in Boise, Idaho, on statues, the swastika and stuff. We've had people do all sorts of craziness when we're talking about what's going on in Washington, D.C., but they pick this. We've had people say they want to kill white people and all sorts of things. All this does is divide us. And obviously there is a very powerful picture where we have the white supremacist and a black girl on the bus. Very powerful, very resonating. But if you want to play the racial game, what about the black guy that stabbed the white girl in Charlotte, North Carolina? What about the illegals that have killed more and more people? What about everything else? And yet, this is what they focus in on. I wish the media were just as tenacious and just as whatever with Republicans as they are with Democrats. And you could tell here Doug Burgum decides to lose it.
We should be proud of it because no one has fixed up our Capitol more than President Trump has during the time he's been here. He's shown the pride that he has in America. He's shown that as a country we can stand and think about our future. This is the kickoff of our 250th year. President Trump, in those 3 speeches that I saw him give the last few days, he was incredible respect for the past, gratitude for the president and all the people that have great, including our military, our law enforcement. And then he gave us in all 3 speeches in the last 4 days, inspiration for the future. That's something that we should focus on because the vast majority of Americans, care deeply about this country. They care about their communities. They care about their families. And that is absolutely something we celebrate. We are the freest, strongest country in the world. We should be celebrating that versus focusing myopically on the few bad actors that may want to spoil the party. We should be proud of it because no one has fixed up our Capitol more than President Trump has during the time he's been here.
Yeah, he's right about that. We should be very happy about that. We should be saying, thank goodness the president did these things. And yet here we have people attacking the Secretary of Interior, attacking him, all sorts of things. By the way, wasn't it inspiring to see the president with those veterans? We'll share thoughts on what happened with the president and obviously the great speech, America 250. But first, like I said, it got a little crazy with George Stephanopoulos. You're starting to think that the reflection pool is Watergate.
Under President Trump's leadership, Washington, D.C., we fixed 48 monuments, 22 fountains that hadn't had water going for years. We eliminated over 1,000 graffiti sites. All of these things have been going on across the city. And everybody that lives in Washington, D.C. says the place has never looked better. And, of course, you look at the crime stats, the city has never been safer. And so when we look in context, President Trump set out to make D.C. safe and beautiful. He's done that. The reflecting pool was part of the original design of the Lincoln Memorial. It's part of that memorial. It is part of one of the monuments that is important to us as a country. It was leaking 45,000 gallons a day. It's been attempted to be fixed in the past, widely reported by the New York Times, Washington Post, and others that this pool was closed for 2 years between 2010 and 2012. $34 million was spent. It's a challenging thing. This has got 2.5 miles of expansion joints. It is 8-acre pond. It has been a challenge, but now with the industrial liner, it's not paint. With the industrial liner that's gone in, the reflecting pool is not leaking. New technology that hasn't existed before, nano bubblers taking care of the algae. The water is now clear. The reason why the fences were up the last week was to get ready for the world's largest fireworks show. On either side of the reflecting pool is where the fireworks are stationed. And so this is and anybody that's been there, some of the greatest photographs ever taken in recent weeks of both the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Memorial, reflecting that our history, our incredible history of those two presidents, one that helped found the country and the other that helped save the Union back and forth. So the reflecting pool has been a big success, and we've got a very of the 340 million people in this country that are celebrating 250. We did have a few vandals, but all that's going to be repairable.
Right. So, again, at 580-5436-580-KIDO, and celebrating the greatness of America, instead of celebrating the wonderful event in D.C., the largest fireworks ever, we have the libs deciding that it's time to pile on the reflecting pool. Never, ever has a swimming pool seen so much media attention.
Let's begin with the reflecting pool. President Trump originally said that fixing it would cost under $2 million. That cost has climbed above $15 million, and of course, the pool is still closed. So what went wrong? How are you going to fix it? How much is it going to cost?
Well, good morning, George. First of all, let's put this all in context. Under President Trump's leadership, Washington, D.C., we fixed 48 monuments, 22 fountains that hadn't had water going for years.
By the way, what a greeting. What a greeting. So here you have the secretary trying his very best to sit there and talk about the good things. Washington was I don't want to say it was a dump, but it was in disrepair under Joe Biden. What did Joe do with the money? He certainly didn't do it to enforce the border.
I think the press should move on, too, because we've got great things going on. This is the kickoff of our 250th year. We're going to continue to have celebrations around the country. And you know, the real story here is, how did we let this nation's capital fall into such disrepair, where we had monument after monument, statue after statue, fountain after fountain covered with graffiti, anti-American graffiti, and how that was never reported as a story. And now when President Trump goes to fix it up, that becomes a story.
He promised it would be fixed for under $2 million. It's already cost more than $15 million with a no-bid contract. And the pool is going to be drained, at least in part. And you've also you're putting out solicitations for new bids. So the pool is not fixed right now, is it?
This is what they have when they have nothing. So between George Stephanopoulos and Dana Bash, it's all about the reflecting pool.
We've got all the photographs we can see. I mean, there's no possible way.
There are photographs of a person or people cutting a 300 or 350-foot gash in the body.
Now, remember, Joe Biden tanked this country. And it's amazing the hypocrisy in the local and national media. Everybody take a look at the state of Idaho. We have our own budget issues. We have the Boise mayor who's become a social media star. Hi, look at me. And they're raising taxes in Boise. Meridian, the same thing. Now, again, just because we have a Republican in Meridian, we're going to call him out. Maybe people shouldn't have taken the Joe Biden money. And you take a look at, the state of Idaho. Are we in the doldrums because Joe Biden gave us all this free money? Boy, wouldn't it be nice if, I think let's pass a motion. Could we pass a motion that all of a sudden everybody should have COVID money again? COVID money again, one more time? And never has there ever been so much attention on the reflecting pool than what we have right now.
bottom of the reflecting pool?
Dana, I'm not sure why you and others in the media think that you want to keep trying to question whether or not this is an industrial liner. Every farmer and rancher in America that's had their pickup liner lined by this sprayed-on liner knows that you literally, it would never just like peel off or fall off. This is like a strong material, and it's the size of 8 football fields. And the only way you can end up with actual slices in one spot and not the other is that someone physically cut it. And so but the pool itself, it's not leaking. It was leaking 45,000 gallons a day. It's finally been fixed by President Trump. And the American flag blue is working perfectly. And again, it's beyond me why. I mean, the real scandal is about the fact that the state of our capital was in such total disrepair that some people, no one was reporting about. No one was reporting about the pro-Hamas graffiti on the.
Mr. Secretary, you and I talked about this last month.
Yeah, and we're still talking about it.
Well,
Yeah. Nobody's talking about the pro-Hamas stuff, are they? Anyway, we love America, and it shows. Coming up, President Trump talks about the beauty of our great country. Kevin Miller, 580 KIDO. Wow. So many people loving America. And maybe the reason why 1776 obviously was bigger. 1976 was bigger is we didn't have so many platforms and channels. And those of you that had a life, those of you that did not engage in illegal fireworks. By the way, I'm wondering how many people were arrested in Eagle, because didn't Eagle say they were going to arrest people for using the illegal fireworks? I know in Star they just let everybody run wild and free and crazy and everything else. But at 580 KIDO 580-5436, just the insaneness of the fireworks. Oh, Kevin, how dare you attack the fireworks? No, I like the fireworks. I think the fireworks are great, but whatever happened to being considerate?
But in this country, we can achieve the wildest and most impossible dreams, and no dream in history is bigger or more incredible than the one that started on July 4th, 1776. The war for independence was launched by Minutemen, farmers, blacksmiths, tradesmen, who took up their muskets against the mightiest army on earth, the most powerful army, an unbeatable army, until they met us. No one made them do it. They fought because they knew that a free people must have a free country. Over 250 years, the world has seen the great empires, vast kingdoms, mighty nations, and terrible tyrants. They came and they went. But after 2.5 centuries, this American republic still stands tall and strong, and we love each other. That showed tonight. You heard it was over, and what happened? You came back. And this American flag still waves proud and free and beautiful. We have thrived and flourished because our founders were great. Our cause was just, our people are brave, our culture is exceptional, and our destiny is written by God.
It's too bad that we have this new thing going on where people don't want to celebrate America. Did you catch any of that? Where people are talking about the badness of America. Now, I know our man Bo was engaged in watching the World Cup. By the way, to be politically incorrect, thank you, England. Where's Savage? Where's Savage today? Not available because he's going to Turkey to hang out with the president? How about England? And the reason why that makes it so good is because Mexico is so awesome at home. Now, the Mexican people, did you hear what they did? Like, they found out where the English were staying, and I think they did that to the team before that, which was the Ecuadorians or whoever it was. Yes, you're surprised I know a little bit about soccer. So, by the way, still boring game. Oh, the pitch, the this, the that, the cards. What, huh? Anyway, England, I mean, they went into what, Mexico City, Aztec Stadium, whatever, and they won. Now, I expected the Mexicans to win. I expected the Brazilians to win. By the way, NATO wasn't doing too well, but NATO is making a comeback. Norway beating Brazil and England beating Mexico. Now it's up to America. Will America be able to hang with these people? By the way, I am not going to be like all these posers everywhere else that goes, oh, America. I don't know anything about soccer. My brother played soccer. I coached his team as a kid. However, well, when he was a kid, he's always been a kid. However, today, big day in Seattle. The eyes of the world are going to be upon it. It's a great day for Fox. They got this World Cup. And by the way, thank you, Donald Trump, for working very hard to get us the World Cup. Now, there's a big controversy. You heard about the controversy? Trump called FIFA the deal and complained about the guy, the guy that got suspended. And he shouldn't have been suspended. Now people are saying the fix is in. Of course the fix is in because we want ratings. The World Cup people want ratings. And who's going to give it to them? America. By the way, could you imagine America versus England? Again, I don't know a soccer ball from a Wiener Schnitzel, but people are talking about it.
And as we can see here tonight, after 250 years, the spirit of 1776 still lives within us all. It still roars in the hearts of our nation's capital. It still burns in the heart of every patriot, thunders through every city and town, and it still lights the entire world with the glow of American liberty. And there is nothing like that. At 250 years old, we may be the oldest constitutional republic on earth, but our country is just getting started because the best is yet to come.
How about that? The great president of the United States. And then you've got, did you check this one out? Kami Mandami. I don't even know how you spell Mandami, but Mandami's up there talking about how America was bad. America's not bad. America's good. America's that shining city on the hill. Well, you know, we suffered all these atrocities. Yeah, you know what I did during the holiday? I watched Gods and Generals, and I watched the Gettysburg thing based on the book Killer Angels. Now, remember, Gettysburg was fought during the July 4th holiday, Independence Day. And obviously the South didn't have enough resources or they would have won. But imagine if the South would have won. But the South didn't win. And people didn't win when it came to the civil rights movement. Why can't we celebrate that, the greatness of overcoming adversity? Let's get into that next. 580-KIDO. Let's get you to work safely and on time. Kami Mandami, who decided on Independence Day, people celebrating the 250th anniversary. Actually, it was Idaho Day. It was the day before, the day Idaho became a state. I don't know if Mandami knows anything about Idaho, but here he has people that have become citizens legally. And in becoming citizens legally, what did they do? They decided to do the sacrifice, the work, pay the money because they love America. This guy.
As we mark 250 years, what do we see? We see a city of contradictions within a nation of contradictions. We see the wealthiest country in the history of the world, one where children go to sleep hungry while the world's first trillionaire hungers for more. We see monopolies that dominate every industry and oligarchs who buy elections. We see masked agents terrorizing our streets, eating food cooked by our undocumented neighbors before spiriting them away in unmarked vans. We see a nation whose immense wealth has been built by those with calloused, dirt-streaked hands, those who toil on factory floors and chisel into stone. And we see a nation that has allowed so much of that wealth to be held instead in the soft hands of a precious few. As we mark 250 years, what do we see? We see a city of contradictions within a nation of contradictions. We see the wealthiest country in the history of the world, one where children go to sleep hungry while the world's first trillionaire hungers for more. We see monopolies that dominate every industry and oligarchs who buy elections. We see masked agents terrorizing our streets, eating food cooked by our undocumented neighbors.
Yeah, it's so weird it repeated itself. Now, I don't think anybody in Idaho believes this. I hope not. Maybe in Seattle they do. I think in Seattle they're, again, thanking President Trump for calling FIFA and saying, hey, bro, get that suspension lifted. Nobody knows what a red card is anyway. But here you have Mr. Mandami, and really, I think that we need to be more Reagan. And I know people have an issue because they say, well, President Trump punches people in the face. Yes, and that works for a while. And when the president talks about the beauty of America, look at what the president did. And just how powerful it was when he had the veterans up there. And then you have Chuck Todd and all these other people saying, well, the president made it about himself. No, he didn't. He didn't make it about himself. He had these beautiful World War II veterans still alive. And oh, by the way, let me just say this. On HBO, they run John Adams this time of year, and they run what? Band of Brothers. Are you kidding me? I mean, you talk about emotionalism. Did any other president honor these people like President Trump?
And after we vanquished fascism, Americans stood against the evil of communism in the Cold War. And as I said last night at the beautiful Mount Rushmore, what a beautiful place, where Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, and Theodore Roosevelt loomed over my shoulder as I spoke. America will never be a communist country. Won't happen. Communism is a loser, and it always will be. The communist system is the opposite of the American system, and the communist system has never worked. Our warriors did not fight communism on battlefields across the world, only to have that menace rear its ugly head right back here in America. We're not going to let it happen. We like to stop a threat like that immediately and before it begins. It's like a cancer. You got to cut it out. You got to cut it out fast. Tonight, we proudly thank veterans of the war on communism, including Marine Corporal Pat Finn and Private First Class Rudy Meekins, who fought at the famed Battle of Chosin Reservoir in Korea. That was a rough one. Thank you. Pat fought in hand-to-hand combat with the enemy. He had 5 against him, and he was 1. And as you can see, he's around to talk about it. And Rudy was wounded 4 times, but never stopped shooting, and he never stopped moving forward. And also with us is veteran Sonny Ray, who fought heroically against an enemy force 10 times his unit size and earned a tremendously deserved Silver Star. Tonight they salute one of the very first 50-star flags to fly above the field of battle. This was about the beginning of the 50. And right next to it is one of the last flags from Checkpoint Charlie, very famous place on the Berlin Wall, where American freedom finally brought communism crashing down to an end. Thank you so much. You are really very special. Thank you.
Boy, you take a look at the president, man, and just amazing. Sean Hannity today at 1 on 580 KIDO.
We are in a nation today that is totally going in the wrong direction, and nobody will speak the truth. Nobody will
You speak the truth all the time when you tell us how bad we are all the time. Do you have anything new?
Yeah, I do have something new.
Some new material.
There are no.
Wow.
Yeah. Listen, there are no children going hungry in the United States. Okay, unless you have some demented parents or there's something here. These children. I mean, they show all these kids. They're morbidly obese. Everybody's morbidly obese. It seems like, or at least half the population, 3/4 of them, and then they run around. Oh, we're all hungry. Okay, I mean, to me, it's like, wait a second. And what do they want to do? They want to keep on eating sugar and all the rest of this. Look, what we need to do is we need to get in their faces and tell the truth. It's not nice. It's just not nice to tell the truth, but I'm going to tell the truth. Okay, and the truth is this: our country, okay, is suffering from a unbelievable push towards Marxism, and the people will not say a word about it. Okay, the people, for some reason, they don't want. They're like the Eloi. They won't confront the truth. You know, we have this judiciocracy, this judicial, what Jefferson would call the judicial oligarchy. And, you know, if you look at Alexander Hamilton, the great Alexander Hamilton in Federalist number 78, okay, you know, what does he say? He says the executive not only dispenses honors, but has the sword of the community. The legislature commands the purse, and prescribes the rules. The judiciary, on the other hand, has no influence over the sword or the purse, no direction either of the strength or of the wealth of society, and can take no action, resolution whatsoever. It may truly be said to have neither force nor will, but merely judgment. Okay, we don't follow the founding fathers. We don't follow the Constitution. But nobody will press this forward. Why is it that people just continually interpret the Constitution in a way that completely destroys the overall meaning of the Constitution? Look, Kevin, listen. Everything I think you can look at is perverted in this country because we create money out of thin air. Okay, we pervert everything because we do that. And if you look at, you know, like a reductio ad absurdum argument, and you say to yourself, well, if the government can create money, what does that mean? They can buy everything. They'll just create enough money. They buy everything. They can buy everybody's house. They can buy everybody's car. They can buy all the businesses. They can buy everything.
Yes, it's called socialism.
No, it's that would be communism. But you see, here's the thing. Communism has never existed, Kevin. It can't exist. What it is it's some nutty
tell that to the Bolsheviks.
Look at Kevin. It never has and never will exist, because what it is people go about, even in the Bolshevik era. Everybody actually just ignored the government. People had free trade among themselves.
Yeah, tell that to the KGB. Tell that to Putin. Tell that to Yuri Andropov. Tell that to the party leaders. Tell that to China. Come on, Al.
No, what they are is authoritarian and totalitarian. But there's no way communism does. It's a conception in people's minds. It's never existed. What they do is they compromise freedom. That's exactly what they do. Okay, but you can't have compromise because nature has people engaging in free trade, free markets. So what
Al,
they do...
people, all they care about is the World Cup, Al. You know that. Do you care about the World Cup?
Well, let me tell you this, brother. Look, I believe that the people are getting ready to be slapped upside the head with it. There's going to be a big indentation of a 2x4 upside everybody's head, because that's what reality does. Okay, reality is going to knock these Eloi back into a 50,000
You need a better analogy. Nobody knows Eloi from Shmeeloi.
Okay, well, Morlocks and Eloi. No, they don't. Kevin, the people don't know very much. I mean, this is the problem. I mean, what we've done is the Marxists have very, very cleverly ensured that the people just engage in bread and circus. And they don't know anything about our founding fathers, what our founding fathers said. I mean, you know, if you look at, you listen to Hamilton, really, I mean, the judiciary is beyond comparison the weakest of the three departments of power. And yet these people... Hold on,
Al. Before we go back to everything stinks, we're going to let you respond to Mandami. First, Mandami.
As we mark 250 years, what do we see? We see a city of contradictions within a nation of contradictions. We see the wealthiest country in the history of the world, one where children go to sleep hungry while the world's first trillionaire hungers for more. We see monopolies that dominate every industry and oligarchs who buy elections. We see masked agents terrorizing our streets, eating food cooked by our undocumented neighbors before spiriting them away in unmarked vans. We see a nation whose immense wealth has been built by those with calloused, dirt-streaked hands, those who toil on factory floors and chisel into stone. And we see a nation that has allowed so much of that wealth to be held instead in the soft hands of a precious few.
Well, what I think is, the guy just doesn't know what he's talking about. Obviously, what our founding documents gave us, if we stuck to them, okay, and we did things correctly, we would have a very free nation. Okay, and we would have freedom. Unfortunately, what's happened is we have perverted our founding documents to the degree that now, we have terrible inflation, really. What we have is our country basically trying to do things that it was never meant to do under the Constitution of the United States. Look, it's the judiciocracy is running around, making hundreds of thousands of pages of laws and having this ungodly law enforcement network. But where's the law education? Okay, if people don't understand what the law is, and then they get hit up with these laws that nobody could ever even know what they are, what's that all about? Is that all about trying to...
I don't know, man. That sounds pretty weak. I would be responding with Kami Mandami. Well, first of all, sir, let's take a look at your background. Were you one of these immigrants? No, your daddy made a lot of money. Your mama made a lot of money. You come from privilege. And by the way, if the people that were all about privilege had any power, Mandami wouldn't be in there. But instead, Al, you're going back to your whatever you do and all of your Alness and going back to these abstract points when I have given you a concrete piece of red meat right here.
Okay, well, look, Kevin, you see, I think things aren't so simple, bro. Okay, the whole thing is this. If we want to get it right, nothing's easy. Okay, you have to go down and do a little bit of homework and understanding that has never happened in our country with our people. You have to go down and you have to read about the history of our founding. You have to
know. People aren't reading about the history of our founding. They're reading about how bad America is, thanks to Mandami and everyone else.
I think you got a point there. And you see, and this is why I think what we need to do is really get in their face and tell them the truth. Look, the reality is that, look at the founding of this country. Okay, our people coming here to the United States, look, there were no fixed boundaries to say that this is Indian land or this is somebody else's land. What if one person crosses a river into North America, then that tribe owns the entire continent? Of course not. Okay, our people coming over here, it's just natural expansion of the human population over a period of time. And the vast majority of North America was totally uninhabited. So to say that somehow we stole this is idiotic. And then you have to tell yourself the truth. Okay, it's all about power, really. And power comes from the ability to properly organize your people. Okay, and we properly organized our people in the old days. Organization in many regards is power.
And if you Al, I really don't understand where you're coming from here.
Well, I'm coming from the fact that we have to have an educated population, Kevin.
Yeah, and you talked about that. The problem is nobody wants to be educated. They want to be on TikTok. And you have a great president who's trying, but we have people that have decided they're going to do their own thing. So we have to figure out a way to reach them. I don't know how.
I know, Kevin. I know, but
you yelling at them is not going to make it happen.
Well, what we have to do is educate, Kevin. Thomas Jefferson, he's the one who said a nation that's ignorant and free is a nation that never has been and never will be. We have to educate. It's Kevin. So this is what I look at the Kevin Miller Show. Really what I'm looking at is a platform for education. Okay, you're not looking at it the same way as I am, or maybe you are in some regards, but really what it is, it's a platform for dialogue. Dialogue, okay, going back to Aristotle, going back to Plato, the great thinkers, it's all about dialogue back and forth. Okay, so that we can refine our thinking, refine our ideas, and understand. And that's really what we have to do. It's all about the Socratic dialectic, asking questions and answering questions. And that's the way we inform ourselves.
All right, Al, thank you for the call. Tell us, what's it like to be at the big dance, if you will?
Well, I tell you what, not only was it beautiful and amazing, and I think all those that watched it on television, they commented to me online or in emails saying, you were at the biggest fireworks event in the history of the United States. And I could tell you, here's the reality. Not only did you see it, of course, smell it, but you felt it. It was the most concussive event I've ever been in, where I felt fireworks to the very center of the newly repaired heart that I have, to the bones and rib cage, and I had not felt anything like that since I was learning to drive tanks at Fort Knox 50 years ago. And so Susan and I just looked at each other, because they had shut down the mall. You could not actually get into the mall, so you had to watch it from the edges of the mall. There were people that were allowed in for, I think, photo ops with the president. I don't know, VIPs or whatever. But we were standing by the Washington Hotel and in stunned silence observed one of the most beautiful things I think either one of us had either seen or partially seen, obscured by some of the trees, but certainly felt. It was amazing, Kev.
Well, and you shared on social media, you got interviewed by the local Fox reporter.
That was the craziest thing. We're walking down on the outside of the mall because the place has been tied as a drum. There was not going to be any terrorist activity. It just was not going to happen. So you had to walk on the outside of the perimeter fence. And as we were walking, there's this animated guy, and I didn't know his social media. Who knew? And as we walked up, it turns out it was the Fox affiliate in Washington, D.C., Channel 5, their number, and a guy named Chad Ricardo. And he was a sports figure. So they I guess what they did internally, they sent all of their reporters out, and then they ran streaming videos. They ran everything they could to get people to tune in. And Susan and I walked up. It's so comical because I'm carrying an umbrella. I mean, it's 110 degrees out, right? So there's no chance of rain. It's going to be absolutely just heat on us the entire time. So I thought, well, you know what? Let's pop the umbrella and keep us at least down to 104 degrees, you know? And so he stopped us. And so we began talking, but I decided, you know, he's talking to a bunch of people, and I posted it on Facebook because I think we were 18 minutes into his gig when we came on, and Susan was so great. Oh my heavens. She just, you know, we're from Idaho and blah, 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 blah. And of course, you know, the proverbial potato comment comes up, and I looked at him and I said, Chad, you said you were a sports guy. Why aren't you bringing up the blue? And, oh, my heavens, that was the most wonderful game, the Fiesta Bowl, blah, blah, blah. And then, the running back asked his girlfriend to be his wife. It was just a tremendous. And then I just paused. I looked him in the eyes, and I said, Chad, I was there. He would have sworn I had lived in Jerusalem in the time of Jesus. He began to bow and scrape to me about, I can't believe you were actually at that game. Yeah, it was fantastic. So, you know, we have so many BSU fans from that event all those years ago who got on the train and have been riding with us for a long time. It was a wonderful opportunity to meet a DC reporter who was one of them.
Our great friend Dennis Mansfield joining us here. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. So Again, fireworks, fun, but when you go to D.C., obviously the history just overwhelms you. You know, you as a well-recognized, best-selling author, a man of the world, if you will, obviously the writers always come up with these great lines and stuff. What was going on in your mind, sir?
I was thinking about the fact that I've got a few years on me, so I can remember the bicentennial, and I remembered how 50 years ago it was more of a, I'm proud about America kind of thing, and we just come out of Vietnam, May 5th of 1975, so it was just a year and a couple months, and so there was this sort of false patriotism at that time. Gerald Ford was running for president against Jimmy Carter, and the only unelected president ever to run for office. And so there was this just, I don't know, it's just strange. So I compared this time around with that time. And what I came away with was people are sick and tired of feeling like they can't have honest patriotism. And what I saw was that they extended that hunger to say, I'm so glad that I live in America. I'm so glad that, yes, we can have division and debate. And I refuse to enter into violence. I refuse to enter into malicious behavior. I mean, I talked to some men and women, boys and girls, as we were walking around, who were just thankful to God Almighty that we were born and live in America. A lot of immigrant families that have come over and made their home in America because guess what? Where they lived stunk. Where they lived didn't offer them the freedom. And rather than the proverbial sense of, well, they're going to come over here and turn this into whatever, the truth of the matter of these families were that I'm so happy that I get to come and I get to vote and I get to be a part of my local government and I get to be involved in support of our history. To hear them say our history was just terrific. So I walked away from this event with a profound sense of gratitude that there's something right going on in America amid all the icky, crappy things that are out there that we do see. We mustn't lose sight of the things that we are, that we feel to the core of who we are, and to the malcontents that don't like where we are. The malcontents who's saying it's provincial, it's foolishness, it's old hat. Guess what? They're wrong. They're absolutely wrong. And the listeners to your show, Kev, they're the men, they're the women who are so thankful that we are a conservative state. We have conservative values. And the reason we continue to exist and profoundly impact people around us is because we conserve those values and we continue to hand those off to the next generation. I'm a grandpa. I've got 6 grandkids. So I am always talking to my little rascals about the value of America and the profound nature of how Papa is. You don't use big words with little kids, but how I'm thankful and how I'm grateful. And
let me jump in for a second, because again, in our day, we grew up in an America that was very different, but now we've got Kami Mandami. By the way, hold on. As an old political pundit, as a guy who's still in the arena, we're going to give you a chance to respond to good old Mandami. Here he is.
As we mark 250 years, what do we see? We see a city of contradictions within a nation of contradictions. We see the wealthiest country in the history of the world, one where children go to sleep hungry while the world's first trillionaire hungers for more. We see monopolies that dominate every industry and oligarchs who buy elections. We see masked agents terrorizing our streets, eating food cooked by our undocumented neighbors before spiriting them away in unmarked vans. We see a nation whose immense wealth has been built by those with calloused, dirt-streaked hands, those who toil on factory floors and chisel into stone. And we see a nation that has allowed so much of that wealth to be held instead in the soft hands of a precious few. As we mark 250 years, what do we see?
What do you make of that?
Oh, he's an idiot. He is an idiot. Here's the profound nature of why he's wrong. He continues to believe that bringing everybody down creates an equity, a balance, so that we all live in this the warmth of socialism and communism. He's so in error. The truth of the matter is, lifting people up comes from capitalism. It comes from people who invest in other people to have their jobs, so that we can all prosper. Not all of us can be billionaires, not all of us can be millionaires, but all of us can be employed, and all of us can be thankful that the capitalistic system works. Mandani is, I honestly believe he's a well-spoken fool. And I go back to what the Bible says about fools. It says that, you deal with a fool according to the fact that he is a fool, not according to the fact of what he says or does. In other words, the root of his life, the root of his tree is poisonous and toxic. No matter what comes as a result, it's going to be fruit that kills people. It's going to be fruit that hurts people. It's going to be fruit that absolutely will attempt to kill this nation.
Dennis Mansfield joining us. Dennis, how can people get a hold of you, by the way? We want to make sure that we spread your words of wisdom.
Oh, it'd be a great opportunity, certainly. DennisMansfield.com is my website, DennisMansfield.com. On Facebook, there's a couple different things, but if you just come to put Dennis Mansfield, Idaho, and you'll see that. I have an old website or Facebook page that has Mansfield for Idaho. I don't use it that much, but just the Dennis Mansfield Facebook, certainly Instagram as well. The one thing that I just want to make sure is that we have so many young people that are willing to stand up as conservatives. Kevin, we've got to grow that crop of young people up. We've got to equip them, keep equipping them as you have done, and help them so that in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years, we have incredible people, young men like Ben Fulcher, Russ Fulcher's son, magnificent young man who is just, living his life because his dad raised him right. I've known him since he was a baby. Russ and I have been friends forever. And so he's known my kids, my son Colin, people like that who are willing to be involved in Idaho, willing to be involved wherever God planted them. And then, I don't know how much longer I've got in this world. I know that I'm in the fourth quarter of my life. I don't know whether I'm at the 15-minute mark or the 2-minute warning, but I'm living my life every day, helping on things like Israel, taking people to Israel.
Now hold on, Dennis. I'm not cutting you off. I just wanted to get you in. Can you hold on for a minute?
Oh, certainly, absolutely.
Yeah, no. That wasn't the rap signal. That was, I just wanted people to know where they can get a hold of you. So hang on.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
See, Dennis is directing me already, which I need to take direction. So please hang on, Dennis. And we're going to
yeah. Nobody can direct you, buddy. You direct the world, and we love it.
Well, we're going to get more. We're going to get more great content from our friend Dennis Mansfield next. Kevin Miller, you're listening to 580 KIDO. We're going to go back to you in D.C., but I think of you a lot because one of your many books that you've written, you talk about this cafe where Hitler, Stalin, Trotsky, they all hung out. Mm-hmm. And really, based on your research, your writing, are we reliving that time where people feared the communists? It reminds me more, of Europe right now in the 1930s, and this is more the 1920s and this is where you're at. Either, correct me or direct me on this, where we're talking about that, communism becoming the in thing again.
Kevin, I think you're absolutely right. There's a movement within the young people that are not historically anchored to American history, that are simply thinking some form of misguided kindness, that we should all have equal pay, we should all have equal, situation in life. Well, I'll tell you, in my research on my book, To Trust in What We Cannot See, when I stumbled across that cafe in Vienna, where in 1913, a young Adolf Hitler, a young Joseph Stalin, a middle-aged Vladimir Lenin, Trotsky, Tito, were all in there because they lived in the blue collar area around Cafe Central in the Central Platz in Vienna. That it was a fomenting environment, creating sort of a hunger for anything against the imperial way of life that they had with the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And so communism and socialism all became this ism that was going to be a schism, meaning that anything that could bring down that empire and any other empire along with it was good. Most people don't realize when they say National Socialists that they don't realize the history that Adolf Hitler crafted by the reality of bringing the nationals, who were the monarchists of all things, along with the socialists together to become the National Socialists, two diverse and disparate communities. And he did it with the idea that the monarchists were helping out the socialists by bringing them up financially, helping them up. What they did was they came up and ate them alive. And then not say the National Socialists then became this unbelievably tyrannical group. And when people don't anchor themselves to the things of God, the things of Judeo-Christian ethics, and especially when they become anti-Semites, man, all hell breaks loose. I think the demonic world of being able to justify killing children, parents, and grandparents in ovens, as I went to Poland last year and saw it with my eyes and felt the bricks and saw the railroad tracks, it was like it made me so sick to my stomach because of the movement of saying, well, socialism is really kind of a good thing in America by an elite group of idiots. And so I've just decided, when I had the chance, Christians United for Israel, it's called CUFI, CUFI.org, asked me if I would take them on as a client. And I said, yeah, because I'm a coach. I help a lot of people kind of grow their business. I said, yes. I said, I'm in, and I'm going to call the anti-Semite thing what it is. It's wrong, it's bad, and it's absolutely Germany. It's Poland in 1938 and 39. And for any erudite individual out there, go, oh, come on now, we've got to have it together. The Palestinians, blah, blah, blah. I come at him, I go, have you ever gone to Israel? I've gone there. This will be my 9th and 10th time this year. And the Jewish community, the Israeli community, goes out of its way to help the Palestinians. And this whole from the river to the sea, bunch of collegiate nonsense. That nation is unbelievable. Israel is an unbelievably powerful nation that is, I think, one of our only allies. So for us to come in and attempt to do the things that's being said, for example, this morning, I'm at a conference and Benjamin Netanyahu will be speaking, and I can't wait. I've been with Netanyahu several times when he was in office and when he was out of office, and he is the most American Israeli prime minister we've ever had, and I'm stunned by the anti-Semitic movement that is happening across America, even among our Christian churches, especially among our Christian churches.
Well, let me jump in for a second.
It's unbelievable, Kev.
Our great friend Dennis Mansfield joining us at 580 KIDO. But what I've noticed in particular are people in their 30s and 40s, and obviously very younger, that feel they have an openness with me that will go, yeah, Kevin, you and your boomer friends, it's over. Once you guys are gone, it's over for Israel. And primarily, I mean, these are good Americans, but they are not down with Israel. They think that, October 7th and Gaza and everything else, they went too far. I'm not taking their side, but as an American who has, been brought up through Reagan, through everyone to support Israel, I find it shocking, Dennis. You're on the front lines of this. What do you make of young people, not supporting Israel and attacking people who do?
Well, I think it stems from the fact that the people that are influencers on them, people like Tucker Carlson and others, have sort of tapped into a cause célèbre, a desire to, well, look, we need to help people. Well, you're not going to help them by creating an atmosphere of anti-Semitism. And I think that it is scary in one sense, but I also think that it's a call to action by the next to the next generation to be able to stand up and say, Israel, when you count it all out, they're really probably our only ally. And thank God we have the opportunity to work with technology and work with our military. Look at Iron Dome, look at defensive technologies that help. All these things are vital. And so for the person who really, really wants to take a stand on it, I say really, really go to Israel.
Yeah.
I say go.
Yeah.
Don't just stop at the airport like Carlson did. What a foolish act. Go in. They consider each other cousins in Israel. The Arabs, the Muslims, and the Jews, the Druze as well. They consider one another cousins. Their political thing is charged by the financial benefit of the leaders of the Palestinian Authority and what formerly was called the Palestinian Liberation Organization. I have been going since 1995. Russ Fulcher and I went the first time together, and we saw it with our eyes, and we're seeing it again. And I believe that's why I take people to Israel, and that's why in March I'm going to be taking people on a cruise of the footsteps of Paul, and we're going to go all through the Mediterranean on a cruise, and then we're going to go to Israel, and then we're going to be there for 4 or 5 days. So if people want to know it, want to see it, want to be it, I'm saying come with me. Come with me. Quit shooting your mouth off for something you don't know anything about, and come with me.
And you can catch him at DennisMansfield.com, our great friend Dennis Mansfield. Obviously, we're going to have you back on this issue, but the feeling of humility, obviously you're in D.C., but you take a look at that beautiful rotunda, the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument, all these things. As an American, as a patriot, as someone who has sacrificed, what goes on in your mind when you see those things? Can you paint the picture?
Well, Kev, that new movie Young Washington is out, and everybody who has seen it have said it has brought the humility of George Washington back to the humility of America. And I have not yet seen it. I look forward to seeing it possibly tonight or tomorrow night. And I can't wait. People I deeply respect have seen it, and they've said, unbelievable. See, that's where we need to return. It was John Adams that said that our government was made for a religious community. Get that? He said it's wholly unuseful for any other type. So what does that mean? It means humility comes from the word humus, which means dirt, which means when we're down and out and on the ground and our faces in the dirt, we can be humble. We don't have to be down that way, because you could also be working in the dirt, developing crops and doing other things, and you develop a humility because you realize that root systems mean everything, and poison kills the plants, kills the root system of America, whatever that poison is. And so I've come to the conclusion, after having been involved for four plus decades, that A, I don't know everything. B, what I do know, I see as a result of having come out of the Old Testament and the New Testament. And I suppose the next point would simply be, I know that my time on this earth is limited. And to the degree that I can, I want to be a faithful man of God who helps other people become faithful women and men of God. If we can do that, the humility really comes back, because we realize all we've got is what God gives us. And quite frankly, my heavens, we were born in this country. We weren't born in a third world country. We weren't born under socialism or communism. To the best of our degree that we can, we must not let it go to our progeny to have a communistic or socialistic world.
Dennis Mansfield, we appreciate you. We love you. You take care of yourself.
Thank you, my brother. Kev, I got to tell you, man, you're the clarion caller. You're the watchman on the wall. And all of us who listen to you and care for you and love you are so thankful that you are a part of our lives. It's remarkable, and it's an honor for me to be on your show.
Well, it's an honor to have you. DennisMansfield.com. As I've said, and you chase me and I chase you, but we need to make this more of a regular feature, sir. Please have a safe trip home.
It'd be an honor, man. I'll even bring in healthy donuts. My wife says I can't eat donuts, but I can eat healthy donuts. I don't know what that means. I guess you have to put the right kind of chocolate on the top.
You're killing me, Dennis. I appreciate you, sir.
Love you, buddy.
Love you. Thank you. Our great friend, Dennis Mansfield. Let's go to Chandler, who joins us now at 580 KIDO. Hello, Chandler.
Hey, Kev. The book is Thunder at Twilight, Vienna 1913, 1914 by Frederick Morton. It breaks down everything Dennis is talking about. For those of us who can't afford to go to Vienna, you can read the book. But it goes into how, here's the cafe where Lenin and Stalin played chess and Stalin kicked his butt. Here's the rooming house where Hitler was. You had Freud and Young going at it. You had who became Marshal Tito. He's working on Franz Ferdinand's motor car. It's a great book. It's a great book about, a very important time where all these major figures were there. And that's kind of where we are today. I was a little bit surprised, Campbell. You say that we're in a mixed economy and, we kind of are a socialist country. You didn't give some pushback there to Dennis Mansfield when he's saying it. We are. Look, we got the VA. That's communist medicine, communist socialist medicine. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. That's socialist medicine. I mean, it's a mixed economy at best. I could just say to all the people that are listening out there is that, and the Republican Party too, you may knock Mondami. It's going to be either national populism from the left or the right. The right was given a chance. Okay? Drop the ball. Have Theo Wold come on and explain it economically better, much better than any way that I can. But in the 10 years that I've lived in Idaho, I've watched the American dream for the native Idahoan get just crushed. You used to be able to get a house for under $200,000. You could work that warehouse job, $10, $15 an hour and afford it. Somehow make it work. Rent was less than $1,000. It was what it was supposed to be. This is just a mere 10 years ago. And what has happened? It's not gotten better for the average Idahoan. The chances, the opportunity.
Okay, but hold on. And I'm not, let's have a discussion. Yeah. Chandler, can you hang on for a minute?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay, because I this is going to be good, folks. More with our great friend Chandler next. Kevin Miller, 580 KIDO. First of all, you've got Republicans everywhere that have been elected and reelected. So you're mad, you're upset, but everybody's happy. Everybody's getting reelected. Didn't you see America 250? Didn't you see everybody at the
Kev, I was working. I have a second job, like most other people, but most real Idahoans who can't afford things have second jobs. Look, you can clap like seals and say everything's great for you, but for a lot of people, it ain't great. Most of the people I work with should be having kids, should be getting married. They can't afford it. This is not a new problem. This is a relatively new problem. When I moved here 10 years ago, you could get a 2-bedroom apartment, rent in Garden City rental for under $1,000. Those days are gone. You could get a house for under $200,000. Meaning you could work that 10 to 12 hour warehouse job and live a life. Like the American dream was here. But under Republican rule, what's happened? It's gotten more expensive. Quality of life's gone down. How many H-1B visas do you think are going to be flooding in once the whole Micron thing gets up and going, right? Look, you can, and the thing too is Mondami is pointing out a problem and a pressure point that a lot of people feel. Don't laugh at people's pain. Don't laugh at their problems. Come up with an answer.
Wait a minute, but you're ignoring my point. I'm not laughing at anybody. Look, I feel the same way, dude. My personal salary has been cut by 40%. Okay, and I'm not crying. It's the life I chose, whatever. And I'm looking at becoming a detail guy. And you can ask Jim from Star. I'm always looking at side hustles. But you have, look, at the governor, the legislature, they're not doing anything. You have Republicans and Democrats raising taxes. You and I are both in agreement. The problem is, Chandler, now wait for it.
Go enjoy your beer and ride your ATV and watch sports. We'll run the country.
And that's the state of Idaho.
Look, I think I just go back to if you were given a good choice, and if you're given a good choice, you're given a plan of action. Look, a failure plan is a plan to fail. What's the plan here? There were some great bills that got torpedoed. I saw what happened in Colorado. I saw what happened in Utah. I saw what happened in California. the GOP ran Colorado. Everything seemed to be great, but they kept cutting taxes for businesses and raising them on people. Didn't build the roads, didn't build the infrastructure, and at a certain point, the people in Colorado were like, "Screw you guys! Like, what you mismanaged this." Mondami, he talks about problems and he offers solutions. I don't like the solutions. I don't think they work. What's your counter argument? What is your counter solution other than belittling them, mocking them, making fun of them? This is what the Democrats do this all the time. They're intellectually bankrupt because they don't have a plan. And that's the thing that scares me with the Republican Party and a lot of people in the state is, okay,
well, Chandler, you're active with the Republican Party. Who in the Republican Party in the state is addressing any of these crucial issues?
I can only do what I can in my
Hold on. Answer my question. Answer my question, Chandler. You're very emotional and you're very fired up. Sure. Tell me any Republican who is addressing any of these issues. You know what we're taught, whether it's a Republican or Democrat? Hey, everything's great. Traffic stinks. So what? Businesses are moving in. Now, if you want to go populism back to Buchananism, which is, the church that I'm from politically, we give breaks to a lot of people coming in, big money breaks, and yet small business people don't get those breaks. But it seems to be working for everyone. Well, not everyone, not you, not me, not others. I get it, but who's looking out for you? You tell me. And basically, what we're saying is no one is watching out for anyone. Not anybody with your beloved, Republicans, the loons. It's a great cult of personality. And that's not to demean anybody personally, but everything is great. Now you got to work 2 jobs. Maybe it'll be 3. I see the whole thing. And I think that if you have something, it's great. But if you don't, you're hosed.
Yeah. And I just go back to part of the problem that my worry is that the MAGA movement got Tea Partied again. That the status quo basically absorbed them, ignored them, pushed them to the side.
Well, look at wait a minute. You look at the president of the United States. I mean, he's talking about reversing a lot of things now.
He's talking, but then the judges do something. And the judge thing. Hey, let's go back to the intent of the judges. So we were told they were never going to have the power of the purse. And we're never going to have force of arms. Well, guess what? They can find you.
Oh, no. Here you go. They're looking at continuing to refund Planned Parenthood now.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I mean, whether it's the Tea Party movement was the greatest threat ever to the status quo, and it had to be stopped. Now, this movement is more about a cult of personality, an incredible cult of personality. But I don't believe that this thing's lasts after the president moves on. Because he is the movement. Tell me, is anybody excited about J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio?
Oh,
I don't know. I'm not. Nice guys.
John Ossoff, man, I'm telling you, keep your eye on John Ossoff.
I've got a lot of faith in Brian Kemp and his political organization. And look, not to be whatever, but we're going to be honest. The president allowed Ossoff and what is his name? Warlock to get in. And because he was mad at Georgia. And so, and we covered this at the time, he blew it and we lost 2 Senate seats that we never should have lost. He tried to get Brian Kemp and Brian Kemp just destroyed any type of person. And is Brian Kemp an establishment guy? I don't know, but I'd rather have him than Warlock and Ossoff and, Stacey Abrams and those loons down in Georgia.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah. I mean, but I feel your pain, but you tell me. Let's delve into the future, shall we? Are you ready for this, big boy?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's delve into the future. So we're going to look at the race for governor in what? 2030, is that right? 2030? Yeah. The race for governor.
Yeah.
Okay, so it'll be maybe Scott Bedke, but maybe Scott Bedke is going to have a life. Maybe Russ Fulcher, maybe Raul Labrador, maybe Phil McGrain. But, I mean, maybe it'll be the state school superintendent who continues to, get out there and do the work of a politician. But you tell me who's going to come from the humble roots and, do a Mondami here. I mean, maybe it'll be Lauren McLean. I mean, who knows? But I'm saying who represents the grassroots people?
I mean, you got Senator Lenny, you got Tammy Nichols. I think Speaker Moyle does a good job.
I think out of all of them, Mike Moyle, but he has a lot of enemies. Those other two, I mean, are they known outside their districts? I have a lot of respect for Senator. I have a lot of respect for Senator Lenny. I think he's, he's a very provocative guy. Now he's got a life too. I mean, somebody was telling me, it's funny. People that actually understand that this show is about politics, they'll come to me and they'll talk to me, and a lot of people will come to me, well-known figures, and say, "Hey, I want to run for this, that, and the other." And I always say, "Look, man, it is not for you. It is this, that, and the other." Yeah, but I go, "Look, it's crazy. You're better off where you are." And I will tell you, I'm trying to think of, the last real candidates, and they're linked. That would be the Attorney General, and that would be the Congressman. And he was the Congressman before he was the Attorney General. And you had this great race in 2018 that didn't work out for a lot of people. But
But the 2018, what I liked about 2018 is you had competing visions on the Republican side. We just, that inspires people to vote. It gets them activated.
Sure.
You vote in the primary, and maybe the guy who wins moves a bit and picks up their voters, and then you have a good turnout. And, there's, like you said, the drink the beer malaise thing. I mean, it's just, without a competitive race, without inspiring candidates, without something that's being talked about, or, when there's a competitive primary, it really helps motivate people in a good way.
Well,
and it just seems like we're not getting that. So.
No, we're not.
The other thing about what you're saying is true is I ran into somebody who knew former Mayor Pierce, and the reality is,
boy.
The politics is
a
dirty game.
What
he's happy.
Eagle Mayor Pierce?
Yeah.
I love him, but I disagreed with, and I disagree with all the urban development. I disagree with what's been done to Star. I disagree with what's been done to Eagle. I love what Dave Petzl said. People moved to those places so they wouldn't have to deal with this stuff. And look, here's another one, man. Here's another one. Do we really need everybody hosting all these events? Cities hosting these events? So I got up because, I'm trying to get ready for purgatory or maybe someplace warmer. And I went on July 4th, I went to the little baby gym and I pretended to work out. It was 7 a.m. You already had road crews out there. And I'm going, well, who's paying those road crews? Oh, I am. Who's doing this?
Yeah.
Oh, I am. America 250. Hey, that's great that we had this wonderful celebration, but can we really afford it? I know a lot of people can't afford vacations. I know a lot of people can't afford a lot of things. Yeah, no, I'm totally.
Well,
with
and the other aspect of what you're talking about, Kevin, that makes it even more difficult is this guy who knows former Mayor Pierce. Pierce is done, man. He's done with all that. He's living his life. He's happy. Everything's great. Like you walk away from the political sewer, and your life gets better. It's like, and when
Yeah. No, Chandler, I got to run. Otherwise, it'll be the Chandler show. They don't like it when we do that. But who he's talking about is former Mayor Jason Pierce of Eagle. Good dude. He, politics is like a lot of things. It consumes you. And it consumes you in a bad way. And I don't think it's just an Idaho thing. Look at look at all the stuff that people accuse people of. Well, Kevin Miller, they're a rhino. They're this, that, the other. Yeah, I get that. But does that really move the needle anymore? I go back to Reagan's 11th commandment. Actually, I have a group that has reached out to me, a very wonderful group, and they want me to speak. Actually, I've got a couple speaking gigs coming up. And I said, look, man, there are a lot of people that they ain't down with Kevin Miller. They're saying that I'm pro-choice and all this stuff. And, after a while, you get tired of being lied about and slandered. So, look, I like to say we agree to disagree with a lot of people. But it's a Reagan event. And I go back to Reagan, man. I know Alan Ontario doesn't like it, but, he just was such a great unifier. And this is not to bag on President Trump, the grand disruptor. But I go back to, how Reagan brought people in and Tip O'Neill and all that. But let's just use the 4th of July as an example, okay? Here we are. We're celebrating the 4th of July. And what I love about this program, and I'm so very humbled by you, and this is a multi-generational, multiracial show. And maybe because I worked in the South, maybe because I went to an all-black high school, lived in an all-black neighborhood, was taken in by Palestinian Christians when I was in one of my many cities that I lived in, or people that, they just kind of looked at me as like the mascot or whatever. I'm very sensitive to that. And when we take a look at people, and to me it's blasphemy when they talk about the 4th of July. Well, it wasn't my 4th of July because my ancestors were slaves. Okay. I'm sorry about that. That was horrific. But today, you live in the greatest country ever. Why would we program? Why would we use propaganda? Thank you for the word sweet way. Why would we indoctrinate people to hate America? I just don't really get it, but it gets you the clicks, and maybe the clicks are like fentanyl, or maybe the clicks are like whatever, and that's what you do. Idaho's first electronic media station. We have an incredible responsibility to take a look at what we can do to improve it. Look, I've been doing this for 31 and a half years. And not in radio, in talk radio, hosting shows, directing people, all sorts of things. I've been at war twice. I've raised money and all this. What I'm saying is I'm just giving you a frame of reference. And I always just appreciate radio. Now, there's podcasting, which again, I had a podcasting. I go, dude, what are you doing in Boise? I don't know. We're just honest. We're just transparent. But I will be flooded with ideas. I drive Mrs. Miller crazy because I bring a ton of books and I don't read them. And then she goes, you're a hoarder. I go, yes, I know. But we had full disclosure before we were married. I was very, very clear on who I am and what I'm about. And she married me anyway. And I'm very blessed to have her in my life, in my family. But I go back to what we're going to be doing. So a lot of people are off this week. A lot of people were off last week. So we will take our week. We'll go to the Oregon coast. And we'll be, again, I won't be enjoying myself. Well, I will, but I won't. But I will be figuring out how we can make the show better. If you have a comment or suggestion, going back to our conversation last hour with Dennis Mansfield, send me an email, Kevin@KIDOTalkRadio.com. That's Kevin@KIDOTalkRadio.com. But like I said, it's a privilege to be with you. And the great thing about radio that doesn't get enough looked at, and we can only do so much, is the power to inspire. And there are a few directions that I'd like to go with this upcoming year. Well, Kevin, it's 7 months into the year. Yes, I know, but our year is, I don't want to say it's very odd, but our year, we begin with, the Canyon County Kids Expo, and then we go to Idaho's largest garage sale. We just had Boise Music Festival. And last week, if I sounded very nasally, it was just because I got sick from being out there. I'm not as strong as I used to be. And then we move on to balloons. And we appreciate everybody who has helped us keep that thing going, all of our supporters there. And we appreciate everyone who has helped us with Miller's Mission. We really appreciate that. The Boise Rescue Mission they've announced a new CEO. We love Reverend Bill. We love Gene. We love everybody with the mission. And we'll see how, we wish them well. And we hope to continue our partnership with them because they're very good people. And we realize the value that they bring, and we realize the, value that we bring to them. And like I said, it's a lot of change going on, not just in local television, but throughout this, where you have people getting lives. Thankfully, I made a lot of poor decisions when I was Bo's age, when I was double Bo's age, so I will be here until you guys tell me it's time to go. And then who knows what I'll be doing. I'll be doing sports reports somewhere. Where do we begin? I really like where Chandler directed us for a moment. And it might just be Kevin Miller speaking to you, but it's going to be honest. And I don't know if there is a change agent left in the state of Idaho. Sure, we have great, outstanding conservatives, but they're kept in their lane. They're kept in their lane by the powers that be. Now, I know Tea Party Bob, he announced he's on vacation, and he has a way of speaking. I know Al from Ontario has a way of speaking, but there has to be a way to let folks know that we can do better. As we have all this great development, we've got to be good stewards, good guardians of our legacy. I'd like to think that we're good guardians of the radio station over 100 years, through thick and thin. And, there were a lot of people that preceded me, John and Chris, that did such a great job. Rush Limbaugh, God bless him, and others. And we live in a time that it is so challenging to be a conservative. I know many people, Kevin, politics, I don't want to be involved in it. Oh, Kevin, politics, I don't want to, I don't want the problems, because you have the mob rule. And we have to find a way to bring people together. And that is our goal. And not give people a pass. I mean, do you like paying more in taxes? Really? Do you like paying more in taxes? I don't like paying more in taxes. I don't like the idea that it's just the way it is. What a sorry way of looking at things, where here we have all these massive construction projects, but we still have people not being able to afford to live. We still have people not being able to live the quality of life that we've, wanted to give to our children and grandchildren. That's really where we have to be. And we have, some people, and I'm sure we'll see it eventually in Idaho, these socialists that are speaking the language. We are really not speaking the language right now. The language first brought up by Patrick Joseph Buchanan. Then it was the Tea Party. And then it was Donald Trump and everybody else. And, here you have Kami Mandami. You have what was it? A congresswoman in Denver who had been elected, 15 times, reelected, was booted by a 27-year-old because she's a socialist. Go back to your European history. This is serious times, folks.
Americans must never forget that we are a historic and heroic people with a heroic spirit and a heroic purpose on this beautiful earth of ours. We are made of the courage and the fire and the flesh and the blood of the best and the bravest people this world has ever produced. We are the bravest and the best. Tonight we pledge allegiance to the flag they gave us, and we say, God bless the immortal patriots of 1776, and long live the cause of independence. May it reign forever and ever and ever. We will always be on top. We will never let our country fall. We will always be the best. Our founders not only won our liberty, they secured it with the most righteous political document ever conceived. It's called the Constitution of the United States. Very special. And it's because of their genius that we remain the finest people on the planet after 250 years. Unlike so many others in the world, in this country, we have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, equal justice under the law, although I wasn't treated that well, but we won't get into that. And the right to keep and bear arms.
And yet we have other people talking about how bad America is, and you have young people buying that. You have young people that are saying that's why we need socialism. Now we have the leader of the Democratic Party. Republicans keep standing between Idahoans and affordable homes. A sale of affordable homes gives people room to build a life. It lets families settle into a neighborhood. Seniors stay near care and community workers who will help them by living near their jobs, and young people build their future. And she goes on and on about an affordable home. Well, didn't we do that with the city of Boise? Aren't they building affordable homes? I suppose an affordable home is what? An affordable home is $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. Is that an affordable home? And yet that's what our politicians say. No one's really answering the call to this. It's very akin to one of my favorite topics of the year. It's the illegal fireworks going off. We love to follow law enforcement. We love to say that we're pro law enforcement, and yet People fire off their fireworks. Well, Kevin Miller, who cares? Okay, I get it. Well, Kevin Miller, it's my right to do it. At 2 in the morning, at 3 in the morning, I was talking to somebody at Fred Meyer the other day, and they said, and they go, hey, man, it didn't stop till about 1:45. We don't really do anything about it because it's big business. The people that sell fireworks have what? A very good lobbyist. But you take a look at Ada County, over 1,700 incidents between midnight and 6 a.m. The highest total on record for the annual celebration. The total reflects all incidents entered into the county's computer-aided dispatch system, otherwise known as CAD, because multiple 911 calls can be linked to a single incident. That of 1,700 incidents do not represent the total number of calls received, which is likely higher. This broken down by the Idaho Statesman, where it says, you're going to love this, 2026, 1,765. Last year, over 1,600. A few years ago, 1,300, 1,200, and 1,100 in 2022. The sheriff's office said it would not attribute the increase to a single factor, but told the Idaho Statesman in an email that population, heat, and added excitement of America 250 likely contributed to this year's record high numbers. How bad were they? During the 30-hour period, Ada County 911 dispatch received 284 fireworks-related calls, 16 fire calls, and 184 text messages submitted through the county's hotline for reporting illegal fireworks. Did that really do anything? No. Is the system overwhelmed? Yes. The dispatch increased almost 10% from last year's Independence holiday period. I just really remember. Look, the foothills caught fire that one year. 10 years ago? Hard to believe it was that long ago. Where it was like Dante's Inferno. But again, we sit back and really enjoy ourselves.
Go enjoy your beer and ride your ATV and watch sports. We'll run the country.
All right, let's get your reaction next. Kevin Miller, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We're going to see a lot of that as we roll along. So again, we have affordable homes. We also have this issue involving the fireworks. By the way, on our website, 580-KIDO, KIDOtalkradio.com, you will be able to see the story we just put up concerning the fireworks and, of course, some other things. And like I said, I hope that everybody had a safe and happy fireworks display. And here we have the libs that are, again, bagging on America. For some reason, I don't know when this happened, it became okay to talk about how bad America is. What about how good America is? What about the fact that you can come to this country? If America was so bad, you wouldn't have everybody trying to break into our country, right? If America was so horrific, you would not have millions of people trying to get in here illegally. And yet the media, how many of us saw the flyovers and stuff in D.C. and throughout? The media just wants to focus in on the bad things. What about the good things? What about the founding fathers?
We will always be on top. We will never let our country fall. We will always be the best. Our founders not only won our liberty, they secured it with the most righteous political document ever conceived. It's called the Constitution of the United States. Very special. And it's because of their genius that we remain the finest people on the planet after 250 years. Unlike so many others in the world, in this country we have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, equal justice under the law, although I wasn't treated that well, but we won't get into that.
Yeah. And here you have the president focusing in on the greatness of America. And what we have to do is we have to bring that back. Now, in Idaho, it's very good. Now, in Seattle, I don't know if that's going to play out. And in New York with Kami Mandami, because people like to focus in on the negative. Well, you know what really happened? Those founding fathers, they were bad people. Thomas Jefferson, he's talking about all men are created equal, and then he had 600 slaves. I don't want to make excuses for Jefferson. I was a Hamilton guy. I always am a Hamilton guy. But are you kidding me? One more before we get to Elaine, and this is a big one.
This week will mark 10 months since Charlie Kirk was assassinated here in Utah, and his alleged assassin, Tyler Robinson, has yet to even enter a plea. Robinson's defense team tried multiple strategies to get the possibility of the death sentence off the table and delay the beginning of the preliminary hearing that's scheduled to begin this morning and last all week. In Utah, a preliminary hearing is used to determine if there's probable cause to move forward with a murder trial. Late last week, the Utah Supreme Court denied 3 appeals by Robinson's legal team, which paved the way for the prelim to begin today with a camera in court. Tyler Robinson is charged with aggravated murder in the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah. Have we forgotten about Charlie? We go to Elaine, who joins us now on 580 KIDO with Kevin Miller.
Hey, Kevin, good morning. Just wanted to, driving into work here in Utah, and just wanted to add how, my parents immigrated here, Berkeley, California, actually. That's where they had a sponsor. But they immigrated after World War II to this country on purpose. And so I was raised by a father, sorry, it's making me tear up, who believed in freedom and the right to bear arms and the freedom of speech, and he fought. He was in the Dutch resistance during World War II, and my mom hid 2 Jewish friends in between floors of her house. And anyway, I'm so lucky and proud to be American, and there's not one day that goes by that I don't, just thank my dad for making that step and coming here. So it's really hard for me to see what you're describing, of people. And it kind of reminds me, I'm a converted Catholic, like 22 years ago, chose Catholicism with my husband and children. And sometimes when you choose something, it's just so meaningful. And that's how I feel about my parents choosing this country all those years ago and where I could be, The Netherlands is socialism. They don't have the right to bear arms. And they were invaded by Germany. I grew up with all the stories of, what happened in the Netherlands during World War II. My grandfather was in a prisoner of war camp in Germany. My dad was taken prisoner at one point by the Germans to work in their factories. That's what they did. My grandfather had art. My other grandfather had art stolen by Germany. They risked their lives every single day to hide those 2 Jewish friends. So anyway, I that's how I grew up, right? So every single day, I'm just happy to be here. And I had a lot of fun watching all the celebrations, in D.C. and whatnot over the weekend. And just, I was hoping and praying that somehow it was restoring some of that sort of spirit in the rest of the country that's not happy to be here. And my response always is, then get out, Then do we have a path for people to go somewhere else? If you're not going to make it better.
I would agree with you on that. And, first of all, as a cradle Catholic, there's a hidden secret within the church, not so hidden, but the most devout and the best Catholics, and this is the opinion of many, not just mine, are the converts, because you chose this and you love it and you went through a difficult process. So congratulations on that. I'm always so amazed at the converts. I'm like, wow, so impressive.
Well, and I got to say, I converted when we were still in California, and when we came here 11 years ago to Idaho, I feel like the Catholic churches here are different in a good way, like more steeped in tradition, holy days of obligation versus holy days of opportunity. Yeah. Subtle differences there. But it brought our faith even deeper by being here, Kevin, by being Catholic here. So we're heavily, I'm a sponsor now for somebody else, a friend of mine who's converting, but it's a constant journey, constant wonderful exploration. We're doing Bible, and we're calling it Bible in 2 years with Father Mike Schmitz because it's taking us 2 years, but we're almost done with doing Bible in a year with Father. So there's always something more to explore. And, I have that in common with you, Kevin. I mean, the part about just loving to be, Catholic in Idaho. But anyway, just wanted to, I always pray that somehow, and I feel like the younger generation, they somehow didn't get some of that deeply implanted. They didn't go through any massive sort of conflict or war or anything where they understood what was given up for what we have and fought for. Hey, and I just saw Young Washington.
Yes, how was it?
It was pretty good. I would just warn people, it seemed like it was 50% battle scenes. And so for better, for worse, but it was the story of Washington pre-Revolutionary War. So you kind of see his childhood a bit, snippets of his childhood, and his father passing and his half-brother coming and kind of coaching him and schooling him. And then you see him sort of getting his early military experience fighting for the King's Army against the French that had built a fort in the Ohio Territory. Anyway, what they did reflect, though, is several times more in his life where he was spared. He should have died, and he didn't. And you kind of get that feeling of, some divine intervention in his life, which kind of builds on the story of our country and, sort of God's hand, God's grace upon us throughout. So anyway, we're seeing for sure, just know there's a lot of battle scenes. And I can't wait for the second. I hope there's a sequel because I want to know the rest of the story. And then after watching the movie, I did a deep dive on how he met Martha and, what the rest of his life was like and all kinds of stuff. So it kind of gets you curious. At least it did for me.
Well, and, that's what we should be learning, studying them as people because they were people just like us.
Yes, they were with, an illness. You do get the you do get the sense, knowing the stories, of how easy people died, as children, as infants, as birth mothers, like birthing, like there were just people were dying. There was a lot of deaths, just natural causes of just being, in the environments they were in. Consumption, I heard that word a few times during the movie. I had to look that up. What is consumption? Anyway, we're seeing, like I said, I'm not sure you need to see it on a big screen, but it does bring those battles to life, that's for sure. But anyway, I hope it's the beginning of many stories of our founding fathers and what their lives were like. But I think focusing on what, for young people who aren't aware, like what those choices were for those founding fathers of really sacrificing life, wealth, all of it, like to take that leap. And it made me think, who of our leaders would do that now? Like I think of the Congress. Really? We can't even get them to do some of the things right in front of them,
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, so go down the rabbit hole, see the movie.
Well, no.
Dive deeper.
Elaine, God bless you. Thank you very much for the call.
Sure. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Quick with the hang-up. 580-KIDO. Let's get you to work the right way. 580-KIDO traffic. Phone numbers here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Do want to remind everybody some great stories on our website concerning the invasive turtles in Garden City. Incredible. Yes, we're having the attack of the killer turtles. You don't have to go to Hawaii or anywhere else to watch out for those. I guess they're snapping turtles. Anyway, those stories and more on our website. Check them out, KIDOtalkradio.com. All right, here we go. A couple of things. We played this last hour, but let's get the whole enchilada.
Is President Trump to thank for a life being breathed back into the U.S. men's national soccer team? Allow me to explain. It's pretty exciting. But the team's lead goal scorer, Flo Balogun, was going to be benched. Not good. If you haven't been following along, in last week's game against Bosnia and Herzegovina, Balogun was given an absolutely BS red card, which booted him out of the game early in the second half and included a one-game suspension against Belgium. That is until the president of the United States called his friend Gianni Infantino, the head of FIFA, asking him to take another look at the red card. Now, thanks to a rule that is as questionable as the FIFA governing body that used it, the suspension has been suspended. FIFA used the same disciplinary rule to table a suspension for Portugal star Cristiano Ronaldo earlier in the tournament. Now, U.S. Soccer initially said our guy's penalty could not be appealed, but now, thanks to FIFA's decision to suspend the punishment during a probationary period, Balogun is back. President Trump is among the many happy U.S. soccer fans posting, quote, "Thank you to FIFA for doing what was right and reversing a great injustice."
All right. Very nice articulation. Good voice. Good voice, young lady. Young lady from the New York Post. Very nice voice. Voices are nice. So this is what we have. Okay. Here we are at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Everybody now is a soccer expert. Everybody has soccer fever. I'm kind of excited because it's going to be in Seattle, not in Los Angeles, not in Chicago, not in New York. I still don't know much about soccer. Do you boot the ball? Is that what they say? Boot the ball. And, you know, if the team wins, I hope that it has a very similar effect of unifying the country. Like when we won the hockey medal, the gold medal in this Olympics, and then how we won the hockey medal in 1980 and how we win. We're a country of winners. So the president decides to make a call. Hey, man, when you have a friend like Donald Trump, why not? And what was it? Ronaldo? Was that it? Cristiano Ronaldo, he got a pass. Is that what she said? Yeah. So if he gets a pass, why not Team USA? Well, it's not fair. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's fair or not, but it's rolling on. Okay. You can tell I have a very limited knowledge of soccer. So let's go to something that we all know about, and that is our friend Charlie Kirk.
This week will mark 10 months since Charlie Kirk was assassinated here in Utah, and his alleged assassin, Tyler Robinson, has yet to even enter a plea. Robinson's defense team tried multiple strategies to get the possibility of the death sentence off the table and delay the beginning of the preliminary hearing that's scheduled to begin this morning and last all week. In Utah, a preliminary hearing is used to determine if there's probable cause to move forward with a murder trial. Late last week, the Utah Supreme Court denied 3 appeals by Robinson's legal team, which paved the way for the prelim to begin today with a camera in court. Tyler Robinson is charged with aggravated murder in the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
You know, I had somebody the other day come up to me, and I save everything for you. And they said, Kevin, what do you think about why Charlie Kirk was assassinated? And because there are a lot of people, and we talked about this with Elaine actually moments ago, there's a lot of rumor and innuendo going on Substack and the internet. And I'm trying to think of anything specific where people are saying on YouTube, you know, why did Charlie Kirk, why was he assassinated? I have, and this will not surprise Lee Joe, I have every faith in the prosecutors in Utah. I have every faith in the legal system in Utah that they will try this person and he will get the dirt nap. But why did he do it? If he did do it? Well, because it all comes down to the rhythm. It all comes down to the algorithm. It all comes down to, and we see this with a lot of people that, you know, they watch Fox News. We love Fox News. Fox News is so popular here. We have, you know, the people across the street, that imitation is the greatest form of flattery. They wanted Fox News. They can say what they want, but look, we called them out for having liberal fake ABC News on, and they decided to make some changes, and good for them. They should just acknowledge it. Acknowledge us. But sorry to be a little pithy there, but back to when you are in this echo chamber, and whether it's Fox News or Newsmax or Tucker Carlson, when you're surrounded by that stuff, and maybe to a lesser extent Kevin Miller, because I'll watch the liberal stuff, because the conservative stuff, we get the same ideas and same prep that they do, the same resources, whether it's human events or something else, that people will come up with conspiracies. And to me, the guy was dating a furry or an alleged furry who was transitioning. And the danger in America today, and look, Charlie Kirk, the last time I believe he was here, well, no, that was Boise State. Thank you, Sweet William. And we talked about it at 580 KIDO. The last time Charlie Kirk was here was at Boise State. Before that, he was at Nampa, and he got a lot of coverage. We played the clip because Charlie Kirk said men need to take action against the trans people. I'm paraphrasing, but that was the essential quote that went viral until the next thing went viral. And when you even when you don't say things like that, if you get involved in politics, your life will be threatened. If you get involved in politics, whether it's speaking out against the dope smoking campaign, whether it's being pro-life, your life will be threatened. Hopefully and thankfully, they're just kooks and goons and people that are horrible people, because everybody's a tough guy with a keyboard. But you had someone who apparently, and what is they were dating the gay furry that was transitioning, I think, something like that. And he came from a really good family. And you take a look at what fuels that disgust, what fuels that lack of support for human life. And then the guy got away with it, literally, until his dad turned him in. The guy literally came up with this idea. And, that's why you've always got to watch your six. You've always got to be around. But here you have this beautiful man, Charlie Kirk, who now is dead, who is lost. And then we had everybody going, well, I love Charlie Kirk, and Charlie Kirk inspired me. A friend of mine, said he was going to run for Senate, and he didn't because he just wanted, and I love this guy, he just wanted to be on TV. You had other people in another state. Then you had other people that are, saying, oh, Charlie Kirk is this, that, and the other. They didn't even know Charlie Kirk. And I'd say to you, as someone who lives this and loves this, where are they right now? Are they talking about Charlie Kirk? All the people that pledged that they were going to do this for Charlie, where are they? What have they done? Sure, they went to the Turning Point USA gigs, perhaps paid to do so. But Charlie Kirk appeared in Meridian. Charlie Kirk appeared in Eagle. Charlie Kirk, you could say even before he was Charlie Kirk, he appeared in Nampa and then at Boise State. He did the work. He worked with the churches. So here we have Erica Kirk now that is in Utah. And we have people that, the defense attorney, they're basically hosed. This guy is done. You're not going to get things thrown out. It's going to be televised. And the sad portion of this, and whether it's Candace Owens or others, you will have people questioning her and everything else. The young lady lost her husband, the love of her life. And people go, well, we need to know the truth. Why is she having this spectacular things? Because that's what young people do. I'm watching these influencers. The guy worked at Chick-fil-A, and all of a sudden he's got 100,000 followers. And, when I worked here, dude, you worked for Chick-fil-A, a very great place to work, but you were known for baking the chicken or the wonderful fries. You weren't really known for being an influencer, but everybody can do that. That's how young people are. That's how they communicate. So at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, we go back to the Charlie Kirk hearings, which unfortunately is going to be a media circus, and people are going to go cover it, and they're going to cover it to get clicks, very similar to how we used to cover things to get listeners, and that's going to be the big thing. And unfortunately, here you have this family, going back to Elaine's comments, where Elaine was talking about, family and doing things with your family and how family is so important, and looking at George Washington not as the father of our country, but as a father, George Washington as a husband, George Washington before he became George Washington, as a real person.
Family from both sides of this case will come face to face inside the courtroom, sitting just across the aisle from each other. And for the first time since her husband's assassination, Erica Kirk will put her eyes on the man she thinks is responsible. And just this morning, the Kirk family released a statement ahead of today's critical hearing, saying this in part: Charlie was a beloved husband, son, brother, friend, and father. Every court proceeding serves as a painful reminder of his death and the loss that has irrevocably impacted our lives and the lives of his children.
More on that in a minute. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We haven't talked about Charlie Kirk in quite a long time. Let's do that next. Kevin Miller, 580 KIDO. And like I said, the death penalty is on the case. The death penalty most likely will be applied. I don't know if you saw anything. Speaking of the death penalty, it's a story we did like 3 weeks ago. And it's always funny when we do a story and then the national media picks it up. But really, and again, it's not about the truth anymore. It's about going viral. And the whole virality, if you will, where people are, doing these headlines in Idaho looking for, what was the headline? What was the headline? Oh, yeah, Idaho looking for volunteers for the firing squad. And now that we have I guess the facility is built now, that, what will happen. And I believe Idaho is very unique because the other states that have firing squads, I believe it's up to the choice of the person who's going to get the dirt nap. So you can all of a sudden decide, hey, we're going to do this, that, and the other. You can get the lethal, which has proven not to work a lot. I don't think you can get the guillotine in this country, but you can get the firing squad. Yeah, that's right. You can get the firing squad. You could say, okay, I'm going to have them shoot me. And you think about that. I mean, the firing squad, if that does happen, are you even going to hear that? Because you're probably going to be dead. I remember our friend Brian, he wanted to apply for it. But I believe, and again, having done this story before the New York Post and everybody else, don't let the headline mislead you. You have to have, I think, certain type of police training, and they're going to do this. So back to what that has to do with Charlie Kirk is here you have a young man coming up from humble origins. Do you know the deal with Charlie Kirk, how he got started? He was just one of these guys that, very much like Reagan, if you will, that saw America going a certain way and started self-educating himself. And somehow the Trumps got a hold of him. Somehow he was going to college. And the thing about it was that he wanted to follow the campaign or start this movement. And I'm sure a lot of people helped him. A lot of people were blessed by his presence. And what happened next? Then Charlie Kirk became Charlie Kirk, married his wife, Turning Point USA, made really conservatism cool for people. Yes, that's it. Conservative was cool for people. Now, again, as an old warhorse, when we, people, again, have formed their own groups, you've got Turning Point USA, you've got other young people groups, the Idaho Young Republicans, but this guy, Charlie Kirk, was their guy. We were very blessed when I was in the nomad look, if you will, to introduce him a couple of times. Actually, twice. Once in Meridian, once in Eagle. And Charlie worked with the churches. Charlie talked about the grace of God and the beauty of America all in one. And that was part of his magic. It was going to the colleges like David Horowitz did, like Ben Shapiro did, like Charlie Kirk did, like Riley Gaines did. And going back and forth, it used to be we could do that. What has changed in our country? Maybe the fact that, we have the loons that want to kill people on the left and the right. And, the right says, well, Kevin Miller, you always bag on us. Well, yeah, because we should be held to a higher standard. Yeah, but Kevin, they're punching us in the face. Okay. Remember, the largest amount of people in America today, voting people, are not Republicans. They're not Democrats. They're independents. How do we get them? How do we get them? And Charlie Kirk had that way. Charlie was alive. Rush Limbaugh was still alive, and he said that he could have been president. Kevin Miller in the morning, 580 KIDO, as we take a look at the trial of Tyler Robinson, a big preliminary hearing today. And, of course, people are covering it again and again and again. Like we said, we want to make sure that we do not miss this thing. And, again, the attorneys are trying to do everything they can to keep this guy alive. I just don't think that this is going to happen. I think that he's going to be convicted, and he has his family there. I mean, imagine what it must be like for this guy's parents.
This morning, a preliminary hearing is set for the accused killer of Charlie Kirk. The week-long proceedings will determine whether Tyler Robinson will stand trial. Prosecutors will present their evidence and witnesses. The defense will submit their own evidence and cross-examine the prosecution's witnesses. Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica, and other family members are expected at today's hearing. Proceedings get underway at 9 o'clock this morning. We are live at the courthouse starting at 7 o'clock.
And there we have it from Fox 13 in Salt Lake City, or as we like to say, SLC. And we'll see how that plays out. Again, I believe the evidence is overwhelming. Some people believe in conspiracy theories. You could share those with me now at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And again, it's going to be, I hope that it's not a circus, but it's going to be, people still don't like them. Think about that for a moment when we're looking at the president of the United States. He's reformed Washington. He's done this, that, and the other. And they still don't like him. Think about the Trump accounts. By the way, he wasn't at the New York Stock Exchange. They brought it in, I believe, to the Oval Office, I think. I'll double check that. But because they don't like him, they're going to bag on him. By the way, this portion of our program brought to you by our friends at Peak Health Idaho. Dr. Eric Lyle does an outstanding job. Dr. Lyle and I are beginning the program. And I will tell you, it's very extensive. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, hey, man, I want to live forever. I go, you do? I said, I just want to live. And they go, well, Kevin Miller, what are you doing? And I said, well, I worked my butt off to lose over 100 pounds. And then I wanted to hold myself accountable. And Dr. Lyle at Peak Health Idaho said, well, Kevin Miller, why don't we do a DexaBody scan? Now, what is that? DexaBody is you go and do it, and we'll have the videos of this. Believe me, I've got one of the best video guys around, and we'll be sharing that because it's part of the greater documentary project. And it looks at all your fat everywhere. And then you get the blood work. And then you wait to get the blood work back. And then you develop a plan. In fact, with Dr. Lyle, I didn't know this, but I have this, it's either a genetic condition or because I use statins that I have this high lipoprotein thing. So taking some vitamin B, and the vitamin D deficiency was there because I don't like to go out because I'm afraid of skin cancer, among other things, and, up the vitamin D. And then, trying to work out, not just hitting the gym, but doing it the right way to be heart healthy and to be healthy. Longevity, they call it, right? They call it longevity. And that's what Dr. Eric Lyle specializes in at Peak Health Idaho. Very, very wonderful to be a part of the Peak Health Idaho team. If you have a question, Beverly there, Sean there, they do a great job of really making you feel good, because anytime you're doing anything with medical stuff, it's pretty wild. You get, how should we put this? You get intimidated. I know that. I know that. I do get intimidated. So again, our friends at peakhealthidaho.com. Look them up, Google them. Don't be looking at Peak Health Health Gyms. That's another site. But Peak Health Idaho, concierge healthcare designed for you. Let me see if I can get that number before we go to Edwin. Let's see. Call. There we go. Call. That's all. Oh, no, I don't want to open this. Can't we just have a phone number on this website? Live Without Limits. And talking about preventative care. There we go. 683-7325. That's 683-7325. All right, my man, Edwin. Good morning. You're on 580 KIDO. Hello, Edwin. It's always a pleasure to hear from you.
Yes, sir. Hello, Mr. Kevin Miller. How are you doing today?
Thankfully, I'm still employed, and you, Edwin, still working very hard, sir?
Yeah, still working hard out in the sun, but I'm blessed. But anyway, you brought something up a while ago about why these people bash on Donald Trump when he does something good. Well, the politicians up in Washington that bash on Trump, I think they bash on Trump because they're all corrupted. They're corrupt politicians. Their gravy train has been taken away. They no longer get money from Big Pharma under the table, and Donald Trump stopped all that, and the establishment doesn't like it. The money train has stopped, and that's why these people, they care more about money and about enriching themselves than about the American person or about the young American daughter, young American son trying to make it in this world. And because of the politicians. But I think most of them are just corrupt, Kevin, and that's why they hate Donald Trump, because he went into Washington and stirred up the establishment, and they don't like it because they've just been sitting. I believe the politicians of Washington have been sitting still for the last 20-something years, and they like the way their staleness is because they're getting, they're just corrupt. That's just plain and simple. He's trying to make D.C. beautiful, and they don't like it. It's like, what do you guys want from this guy? He tries to make Washington look beautiful, so when people from other countries come over here, they can see America as a beautiful place, a beacon of hope. But these politicians, all they care about is the almighty dollar bill hanging from the apple tree, and it's been taken away because Donald Trump says no more of that, and they don't like it, Kevin. That's why they trash on him. They don't like the goodness that he's doing. I mean, that's just a fact. So,
well, Edwin,
anyway,
I think a lot of people hate our country, which is unfortunate because you try to hate anything in China, you're going to, they're going to, I don't know what they do.
You're going to go to the gulag. You're going to go to the gulags, right?
I don't know if they have gulags in China, but yeah, that's what I was thinking. You read my mind. I'm going, well, I don't know. Maybe they give you a shot of something. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they take you somewhere and they give you a pickaxe and make you start chopping rocks into little pieces. That's what they do to you in China. But hey, if that's what the little communists want, America to become, good luck, Chuck. Enjoy it. Because you're going to have a really bad time in this country if that ever comes here. So, it's just if people... Kevin, people just don't have common sense anymore. They just think they don't think rationally. They think everybody's becoming too emotional about everything. Everything's an emotional, trigger. Emotional this, emotional that. Well, maybe you should get out of bed, go get a job and work and try to make something of your life and do the best that you can, what God has given you, and you'll make it through life. It might be hard, but you'll make it through life. That's all I got to say to this generation, So, I mean, that's really all I had to say was, they don't like Donald Trump because he's doing good things. And, who doesn't want a beautiful Washington, D.C. Capitol? I want our Capitol to look beautiful. But anyway, that's all I had to say, brother.
God bless you, Edwin. God bless you.
You too, Kevin. Take care. Have a good day.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. More coming up next. Kevin Miller, 580 KIDO. Serendipitous, fortuitous that the president, is getting to enjoy everything that he did. Biden was asleep. The president talking about the great things of America. This goes out to Edwin.
I hope so. I think it will. I really believe it's going to be one. I think we've done a lot of great things, but I think this will be one of the top. It's going to teach children to be entrepreneurial as opposed to the threat of communism that you're seeing a lot. This is not social democrats, by the way. That's a beautiful, we're social democrats, they say. They're not social, they're communists. They want to destroy our country. We're not going to let that happen. But this helps, even from the parent standpoint. They see their child getting richer and richer as the market goes up. If it goes down, they don't lose anything. They make money, they have money. But if it goes up, they could become actually rich. And the parents are going to be watching, and we're all going to be watching, and we're part of a very big and very beautiful game. It's going to bring them into the mainstream. I hope.
Let's go to Mark, the watchdog of Eagle, with Kevin Miller at 580 KIDO. Hello, Mark.
Hey, good morning, sir. Well, I used to do some coaching in, as you would call it, kickball yourself. But, they're a football, FUTBOL, how they spell it. But I'm glad President Trump did what he did. You can see how versatile he is as a president and getting himself involved with all kinds of things that are unfair. And I could tell you the European leagues for years have been under scrutiny for officials over there fixing and rigging games by doing this. I mean, this happened supposedly in our NFL and NBA here in this country. I mean, look what's going on with Caitlin Clark and the Women's National Basketball Association with the fraud there and her getting punched down with a fist to her throat. And then you have all these people that exclude her from the Women's All-Star game. I mean, so there is corruption in sports, especially pro sports. That referee was known in the past to be doing things that were very questionable as far as calling cards in games that were international games over there in Europe. So, I think FIFA did not want to come out there and admit that they do have officials that are throwing or rigging games in some ways by making bad calls. I've watched this whole thing. And again, somebody who's been in soccer, had one of my sons involved in soccer way back, including the club soccer in the Valley. It's very political. And not only that is just what happens in these games. And I've never seen the players play like they're playing part wrestling, part rugby in soccer. It used to be, it was a game of skill. And yeah, it's a little bit of rough and toughness out there, but the grabbing around the arms, grabbing around the neck, the waist, they're allowing stuff they never used to allow before. So it's like, I don't know, it's gotten really ridiculous. And what I've been seeing, stuff allowed in certain games that I've watched, and I pretty much have watched a majority of the games since the World Cup has begun. And or began this year, and I've seen stuff that they never used to allow years and years ago or decades ago in pro soccer. Now, on the other end of that is, did you see the story about the German family who came over here? And of all things, NBC carried it, and it had to do with a guy had cried about what he saw here in America. I guess he got stranded, and some Bostonians back there, family, helped them, and he got all emotional and being interviewed, and it was on the internet, it was on TV, about what he said he had learned about in his country and the lies told to him about America. So it wasn't just the English people that you hear this from, the Scottish people. It was from other people of other nationalities over here to see their teams play, and how great America really is. And what the Demon Rat Party, the globalist, socialist Demon Rat Party, and their media hacks on the fake news outlets, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MS Now, whatever they call themselves, have all not only lied to us about things over in Europe, but also what they do over there to lie to us, and how well propaganda works and screws up the mind of people who can't think for themselves beyond their own nose. So I just want to throw that out there for what it's worth. Yeah, we have a great country, but you have the little wretches within that political cancer, and this one's called the Demon Rat or Democrat Party, that has been hijacked by the socialists/communists. And we're going to see something that's happened. You ought to hear, Kevin. I'm going to give you some papers and some stuff about Idaho history, because I've been involved with the State Historical Society in the past. And they used to put out a bi-monthly, little historical thing. And it talks about the 1920s, 30s. And I told you at one time there was a paper in Middleton that was a socialist-run paper. So we have had it. We've gone through this. It happened over in, pre-Nazi Germany, with a socialist movement there in parts of Europe. So we're repeating the cycle again, and now it's showing its ugly head here. And again, Joseph McCarthy was dead on right about the communist menace here in our country, and here it is. It's rearing its ugly head. The cockroaches are coming out of their dark little hellholes and rearing their ugly little faces and heads and speaking their mantra of how great socialism or communism is, and we're seeing it today. It's another cycle of this cancerous political movement that is now happening within our country. It's happened over in Europe, but we see what's happened. Every time those types get their control of a government, they run their countries into the ground. Again, something straight out of the Bible, good and evil. And what happens when you let evil take to control of too much in this world, and the destruction that they create. I hope you had a great 4th of July weekend there, Kevin.
Yeah,
and,
before you go,
yes, sir.
What do you make of all the crazy, wacky, zany, illegal fireworks shows that went on?
Well, yeah, I know. I got a family member. I'm not going to get into it. That that's done it. So I have nowhere I could really speak. I mean, to me, save your money. I quit doing it in our where I live here in Eagle, and I quit doing it years and years and years ago. I did it when my kids were younger. Now they're all grown up now on their own. I can go and see it somewhere else and not worry about it being a hazard or something starting a fire in my neighborhood. So, I agree. It is kind of crazy and zany what's going on. And I really don't know how these places can go out and sell these illegals out of the county lines or out of city limits and get away with it. I really can't. I understand people want to celebrate and have their freedoms to do so, but if it's at the cost of somebody else's property or even your own, or endangers the lives of people. I mean, there's a fire out there in Cunamora. I've got one of my sons that live out that way, and burned over 2,500 acres. It looks like they got it out. Seeing it on the news this morning as I'm listening to your Kevin Miller show, and but I'm sure fireworks were involved in that. So. Yeah, and the taxpayers have to pay for that. If you can't find the culprit probably couldn't pay for it anyway. So,
well, I mean, but that's one that we're looking at here. It's just okay. So then get rid of the law that makes it illegal because nobody enforces it anyway.
No, that's true. I mean, you could see police cars or Ada County sheriffs driving around the valley. They don't have the manpower to check them all out. I mean, you got thousands of people all over in a square mile area shooting this stuff off, even the illegal ones, and they can't. There's no way they can run them all down and cite, give them a citation, whatever, for shooting off the illegals within city limits. So it's just going to happen. It's just like bad people with guns, and you got the demon rats wanting to take away your Second Amendment rights because one nut, deranged nut, and goes out and shoots people, and everybody should suffer the loss of it. So I guess you can see certain parallels in that with the fireworks. But I think in this case, gun owners are kind of a different thing. If you abide by the laws and everything versus people with fireworks, anything can happen when you're shooting those things off. They go astray. They're out in somebody's backyard, starts a fire, goes on the roof and starts a fire. So, I can see your side of it too, Kevin. I know. Yeah,
well, okay, so hold on. Idaho folks are considerate. Tell me how considerate it is to be shooting off those things at 2:30 in the morning. Okay.
It isn't.
Are those people really celebrating the Founding Fathers?
No, I don't know what the heck they're doing, Kevin. I mean, living here in Eagle for 31 years, and I mean, I can say, though, in the past few years, it has dropped off considerably. It's not as bad. We've had people that would do this 3 and 4 days before 4th of July in our neighborhood and outlying area. And then the next day, you could hear it a day or two after at nighttime, 11:30, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. People are still shooting them off after the 4th. That has dropped off considerably. I don't know what the reason is.
Well, maybe because the reason was the Eagle City said they're going to prosecute you this year.
Yeah. But I'm wondering about some of the other cities, whether it be Middleton, Star, areas like that.
Star, it's Run Wild and Free. It's Beirut and 83 in Star.
Oh, yeah. Anything can go in Star at times. You have a great one, Kevin. Good talk with you, sir. Glad you're back safely, and I hope you and your wife had a great time.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you. I didn't go anywhere, but story of my life. Pro-life, hang on. We're going to get to you next. 580 KIDO.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, you there?
Can you hear me? Yes, I'm here. Please go ahead.
All right. Well, hey. Okay. Charlie Kirk, of course, was killed at Utah Valley University. And Tyler Robinson is the accused killer. Now, the problem is, if you follow the people that are doing the independent investigation of Tyler Robinson doing that, there is no evidence whatsoever that Tyler Robinson pulled the trigger. His gun was found. He was there in Orem on that day, and but he wasn't killed with a rifle shot. I'll tell you that. And
well, how do you know that?
He was killed. What's that?
How do you know that?
Well, because a .30-06 rifle shot in the neck would go blow right through his neck, and his neck was intact, but there was a slash where he bled to death. And but he had severe chest wounds from an explosion on his chest. And it looks to me, from these private investigators, all these people together, and there's lots of them. Candace Owens and a guy named
So Candace Owens knows more about the criminal justice system and investigating a murder than the Utah Salt Lake City police and the FBI.
Well, about the evidence, I think she does, because they're just going along with.
Did she? I mean, what type of experience does she have in the criminal justice system?
Well, you don't need experience to determine right from wrong.
You can be irresponsible and speculate and make a lot of false claims.
Do I have to go to seminary or Bible college to tell you what the Bible means? Do I have to tell you that somebody has to train me in believing in God to believe in God or not? No.
No, that's salvation. That's salvation by faith. But we're talking about the criminal justice system here, because then, if we're going on your logic, then it really wouldn't matter. I could just say that Charlie Kirk was killed with a squirt gun. I could, if we continue to embrace Candace Owens and other people, those are opinion-based people. They're not fact-based people.
Well, they're stating what they believe. They're not stating that they know for sure.
Well, no, you did state that this was what's really going on. These are conspiracy theories.
Well, that's what I believe.
They're undermining the credibility of the prosecution and justice.
Yeah, I'm undermining the prosecution, because you're going to find out, and everybody that listening right now, just mark my words at this very time, Tyler Robinson is not going to be convicted of shooting Charlie Kirk with a .30-06 rifle. That's not going to happen.
Well, that guy's going to that guy's going to take the dirt nap.
No, and he's not going to take a dirt nap either. But anyway, it's kind of like the JFK thing. They had a patsy. I think, what's his name? The Russian agent, he was a patsy, and then he got shot by somebody, and then that guy died right away.
Why would there be a patsy for Charlie Kirk? The guy had letters. The guy had everything else. The guy had all these sorts of things going on. The guy had problems.
Somebody wanted to take President Kennedy out of action. They wanted to kill him, but they didn't want to have it found who wants to kill him. So now we don't know if it was the Russians, the CIA, the Cubans, the mafia. We don't know for sure, because it wasn't independent investigation.
Now you've switched gears.
No, I haven't.
So back to, why don't you believe the prosecution? This guy admitted that he killed Charlie Kirk to his gay transitioning furry lover.
No,
the guy was there. We have video footage. It was his daddy's rifle. Come on, man.
You'll find that those text messages or messages between him and Lance Twiggs, those do not have a time date on it. They're not authenticated, and they're not in his kind of language. They're phony.
What do you mean they're not in his kind of language? English?
Well, of course it's English.
Yeah.
But it's not the words he would use. And he...
Well, how do you know that, except that Candace Owens is doing the clickbait stuff?
Well, it's not Candace Owens. It's Candace Owens and hundreds of people that are investigating this. And
have they been to Utah? Have they looked at the evidence?
Yeah.
No,
a lot of them have.
Yeah. I'm sure the prosecution has given them access to everything.
Well, what's going to happen...
Why don't you believe that Charlie Kirk was killed the way the prosecution says?
Well, I don't believe it because there's no evidence. Now, Tyler Robinson, for sure, was in Orem. He took his gun up there, and Lance was involved in it. Why isn't Lance in trouble right now? Because if he got these text messages from Tyler saying that he killed Charlie, he should have been arrested for not turning.
I would agree. I would agree with you. He should be arrested.
Yeah, and then he's in some kind of custody, child protective system. Nobody can ask him any questions, whatever. There's something totally phony about it, and you're going to find that there's some deep, big time, maybe military outside of the country killers that came and killed Charlie, and then tried to frame these two homo guys. That's what's going to happen. So anyway, sorry I have to tell you that, but just mark my words, and you're going to. I know lots of people are going to think, that pro-life, he didn't know what he's talking about. But I follow these people all the time. I'm not just talking off the top of my head.
Do you believe
this
a man?
For 10 months.
Do you believe a man landed on the moon?
Yeah, I think a man did land on the moon. I don't know if the moon photos that they took were accurate or not. They might have taken those off of the moon, and because there's something funny about those. But
so you don't believe we landed on the moon?
What's that?
You don't believe we landed on the moon?
Yeah, I think we did.
Okay, then.
But anyway, this situation is not going to go away. This will go for many, many years, and this trial is not going to be something that's going to be a slam dunk for the prosecution.
Oh, I think it is. I think it's over. This guy is done.
Well, I'll bet you a vegetarian supper. How's that?
You can bet me a bag of Brussels sprouts. That's what I eat now.
Okay, I'll bet you a bag of Brussels sprouts. Well, anyway, Kevin,
it's not going to end. It's not going to end well for that guy. He might even get the firing squad. You think he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time?
No, it's not. That's not going to happen. Well, anyway, it's going to be fun to see what unravels with this. But I mean, if you can go right now and follow through all of these investigations that these people are doing from the beginning, 10 months of them, they put them on every day, every few days.
See, but here's my problem with that pro-life is, I believe they're just doing it to get people like you to, like the clickbait.
Yeah, because guys like me are stupid and I can be fooled.
I didn't say that. No, I didn't
No.
say that. You're implying that. You've been influenced by the echo chamber.
But
I don't believe Candace Owens, but I'm a Ben Shapiro guy. So there you have it.
No, Ben Shapiro is he's a bitter guy, and it's not the Zionists, the Christian Zionists have been getting fooled for a long time.
You were kind of making pro-life, you're trying to make him look stupid. I mean,
by asking him questions.
Well, asking him if somebody landed on the moon. It's okay. I know where you're going with it, but you're going to probably do the same with.
No, wait a minute. I'm just establishing a pattern here. I mean, for years I did.
You're not objectively looking at that whole situation. A person doesn't have to listen to Candace Owens to see that it's all weird. There was no first aid. There was no ambulance. They didn't lock down the scene afterwards. And on top of that, I don't know if you've ever shot a 30-06 at a deer, but at 200 yards, a bone is not going to stop a 30-06, not a little neck bone. No. There's just way too many. And then, okay, we're all supposed to believe that some goofy kid dating a trans furry pulled this off all on his own. I just think it's a likely excuse. I don't trust it. I mean, I don't know all the answers to it, but just objectively looking at how the whole situation was handled, very strange. And then they paved over that whole area 2 days later, and they were calling, and they did it on the fly. There's evidence. There's actual evidence that they were calling contractors like the day after, and they got somebody in there 2 days later to pave over it. I just don't trust the whole thing at all. And I don't have to listen to any talking head come up with that conclusion. I just think that Charlie Kirk was amazing. He probably would have been president one day, and he wasn't aligning with, what he was supposed to be aligning with. And I don't think I need to go any.
I don't know. And This is your opinion. See, pro-life was...
This is my opinion. Allegedly, this is my opinion.
Pro-life
right?
was getting as fact.
Facts? I'm talking facts.
You just said it was in your opinion.
They did not perform any kind of first aid. There was no ambulance. Why wasn't there an ambulance? You know, it's just the whole thing was weird.
Why wasn't there an ambulance? Because it was a speaking thing.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how many times, how many. I look. Did it nick his net? I don't know. I'm not an expert on that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just don't trust any of it. And we're all.
Wait a minute. Why are you so quick to distrust the authorities in this case? I mean, have you watched any? And I haven't.
Observing it.
Have you watched?
Observing the
right,
whole
but have you
situation.
watched any of the proceedings at all? I haven't.
No. And I'm not. Hey, I could be totally wrong, Kevin. He very well could have pulled that off all on his own.
Okay.
And a 30-06 very well could have lodged in his spine. I'm not saying that it's not possible. I'm just saying I don't trust it just by looking at it objectively.
Well, first of all, I love the passion. And please never quell your passion with me, Eric. I love it. And, usually we disagree on the weeds, so we've got another thing to disagree on. So here's how I see it. And this is where I'd like you to correct me, please. We have this kook who is dating the gay furry. He didn't like Charlie Kirk, told everybody he hated Charlie Kirk online, da-da-da-da-da. And did he get a heck of a shot? Yeah, but I don't have any other theories.
Okay.
And by the way, wasn't that the weapon? Don't the bullets match?
No. They couldn't. There's some weird stuff with it, Kevin. I just don't trust it. I think that kid is the likely excuse. The easy, crazy trans dude did it. Yep. I just think it's all really strange, and I just don't trust it. I mean, the biggest thing is the 30-06, man. I mean, if you ever thought of 30-06, 30-06 will go through steel at 200 yards. So I just think I just don't trust it, Kevin. It's really weird. I don't trust it. I've never trusted anything about it. And it's kind of made me, that whole Charlie Kirk thing has made me second guess a lot of things, because I just think he would have been president someday. And they did not want that to happen. Whoever they are, I don't know.
Well, then who killed him?
I don't know. I don't want to go into all the possibilities because, I don't want to be called that one name. That name that's kind of like a racist, an anti-Semite. Why isn't an anti-Semite, Kevin? Why isn't an anti-Semite just a regular racist? Why if somebody?
Do you agree with pro-life that the time for the Jewish people is over?
I don't know. I don't know. I love the Jewish people. I mean, every government has its corruption. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to trash Israel or anything like that. I mean, they have a right to exist. I'm not, but there's a lot of, I don't know, Kevin. I don't know. I mean, there's so many different floating theories. I mean, the day before he was on the show, if you see that interview with him between him and your buddy there, Ben Shapiro, he wasn't being very nice to Ben the day before.
Who?
Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk.
Yeah,
if you listen to some of the stuff Charlie Kirk was saying right before this.
Yeah, Charlie Kirk owes everything he has to Ben Shapiro, though.
I don't know.
You ever heard the interview? You ever heard the interview with Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro? He's like a fanboy.
A long time ago.
No,
I don't know. I like Ben Shapiro.
It was like 3 months before he got killed.
I like Ben Shapiro 10 years ago. I like Ben Shapiro 10 years ago. Now he just comes off as kind of like a fast-talking brat. That's just the way I see him. I don't really like the guy. I'm not a big fan of him or Mark Levin, either of those two. And never have been a fan of those two.
All right.
They're okay. I mean, but, you're way better.
Well, you're way better. Eric, we can agree to disagree, but I thank you for the call.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. There we have it. 2 votes against Ben Shapiro, 1 vote for Candace Owens. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. And Look, we all have opinions. My opinion on this is this guy did it. He's going to get it, and he should get it. Other people, like pro-life and Candace Owens, say it doesn't add up. Eric's saying it doesn't add up. But, what's the alternative view? What's the alternative view? Who did it then? Who killed Charlie Kirk? And by the way, if these people are wrong and they're doing it to exploit this tragedy, well, there's a special place for them, and it's not air-conditioned.
Another player, it would have been unfair, but when they take your best player, or just about, they have some great players, and they say you can't play, that's very unfair. That's, it's one thing to penalize somebody for the game, but how do you penalize them for a game that hasn't been played yet? It's very unfair. You can't do that. So, yes, I asked for a review by FIFA. I spoke to a man who's highly respected, and by the way, whose level of respect has gone up tenfold. And he was good before this started, but, he really pushed it in this country. I'm the one that got them to do it. It was not Biden. Biden was asleep.
Biden was asleep. Phone numbers here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO.
But I've never seen anything like it.
Okay, thank you. And if this is dividing us here in Idaho, imagine what it's doing in Utah. And we have a lot of people that admired Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was a West Coast guy. He was west of the Great River. And Charlie did a marvelous job inspiring people. And yet here you have all these people saying that the killer might not be the real killer. And then you have, again, this Tyler Robinson preliminary hearing. And you have, the preliminary hearing for the assassination of Charlie Kirk has begun. And Eric Kirk is personally in the building facing Tyler Robinson. Let's take a listen to the judge here at 580-KIDO.
Richard Novak and Stacy Visser here on behalf of Mr. Robinson, who's seated to my right.
Good morning. Mr. Robinson, good morning. For the record, the court also recognizes the presence of Ms. Erica Kirk. Ms. Kirk, good morning. First, with respect to courtroom protocol, to maintain security and decorum, any individual who exits the courtroom during proceedings will not be permitted to re-enter.
He seems like a very polite judge. Now, apparently, again, we have security is maxed out. Donald Trump Jr. is in attendance. No, not Donald Trump. Donald Trump Jr. is in attendance as well. Because when you talk about who brought in Charlie Kirk to Trump world, it was Trump Jr. So here we have this dramatic testimony right here, right now, where Erica Kirk is facing the accused killer. Do we have any sound here, Sweet William?
Hall of Flags.
Yes, it does.
The walkway of the Hall of Flags. What about the Sorensen Center? Does it show that?
Yes, it does.
The Woodbury Business Building?
Yes, it does.
The Fugel Building?
Yes.
What about the Losi Center? Can you see that from this photograph?
Yes.
Is this photograph a fair and accurate depiction of this area of UVU campus on September 10th, 2025?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state offers State's Exhibit 1.
Your Honor, we would object to failure to lay a foundation for, I'm sorry.
It is a little bit tricky because
All right, so that's the lawyers going, can you believe it's only been 10 months, not even a year? And now the trial begins. All we can do is pray. And all we can do, and look, we're an opinion-based show. We like to talk. We like to listen. But we have to be responsible. I'm not judging anybody. But again, when you just have people, that's the difference between being online, unregulated, not a lot of responsibility, and those people that, are guided by certain standards, ethics, morals. Be easy to make things up, and it's easy to make things up outside of Idaho. But in Idaho, you have to face the people that you talk smack about. In Idaho, you have to say hi to your neighbor. Now, that does change quite a bit. I don't know about you, but I have a new experiment when I go into the supermarkets, when I go there. I look at people to see if they look at me and smile. And I don't know if we've lost our smile, but it seems very close that we have. We have new people coming in, PTSD from gosh knows wherever they've been. They're broken, they're this, they're that. And they don't understand it's okay to let somebody go ahead of you. It's okay to, not clog up the entire supermarket aisle. It's okay to be an Idahoan. And it's up to us in our own way, and maybe it's just because of my age and I'm getting more towards Geritol than anything else, that I've become more patient with people. And that's the magic. And again, faith, family, freedom. Faith, family, freedom. That's what it's about, except when it comes to fireworks. Because if I had my way, there'd be none of that. Of course, many of you are thankful that I don't have my way. A blessing once again. Thank you, Lord, for blessing us. Thank you, Lord, for giving us this time together. We so appreciate you. May you have a great, joyous, and wonderful day. And as we like to say all the time, Clay and Buck next, Sean, Lars, good day, God bless, keep the faith. And yeah, it may sound mushy, but it's true.